Welcome to Media Rehab. I'm your host, Cameron. As with me always is Matthew.
Yo!
And we have Darren with us today.
How's it going?
Darren. So, what do we want to start off with? Do you think we should start off with what we usually start with?
Yeah, always. Gotta do it.
Alright, let's start with Geektox. So,
Geektox.
Black Sails Episode 4 was last week. Matt, I'm interested. What do you think of it?
Here's my thing, and I've got a serious axe to grind with Black Sails right now. I love the story, I love the characters, I love everything about the show. I actually don't find it to be slow because I find it to be really compelling. And so the lulls in action, I'm really just captivated by the story and the characters so far. There's just one thing that they're doing on the show that pisses me off to no end, and it's completely unnecessary, and that's the gratuitous rape scene that just keeps happening. It's been 3 times in 2 episodes, and it's horrible.
Yeah, I do agree with that. It's getting to be just a little bit of overkill. I know that some of the buzz before the show started was the fact that in episode 3 they were going to show the rape of the prostitute Max.
Right.
And I remember that it was catching a little bit of heat. But then you continue it into episode 4. And it
happened twice in episode 3. It happened again in episode 4. It's really graphic. It's really, really hard to watch, and it's completely unnecessary.
Yeah, it's not progressing the storyline at all.
And what does it add to it? I mean, show
we
it
all
once.
know Anne Bonny's going to end up killing one of the rapists and like setting her free or whatever. Who knows what's going on now that Captain Vane is gone like a completely comic book mystery hero and just defied death and killed 3 dudes with his bare hands on a fucking opium binge.
Now, I think we are getting a little bit too far ahead of ourselves. Let's recap what actually happened in this episode before we get to all that about Charles Vane. Captain Flint and his crew have docked the ship, and they're scraping barnacles to get some more speed while they're chasing the Spanish galleon.
They beached it on that really sketchy beach when the engineer told him it was sketchy over there, and that he didn't think it was a good idea. He was one of only 2 people to actually say, "Hey, this is a problem," to Billy Bones, who just got promoted because fat old bald guy is with the beard. I don't know his name.
Yeah, I
completely forgettable guy. Yeah, but he's the new captain of the other ship. Wah wah wah. So they promote Billy Bones to being quartermaster, and
unanimous vote, by the way.
Yeah, no detractors whatsoever. And the only 2 guys who said this was a bad idea was the guy who always is against Captain Flint. And
you think that it's him just fighting Flint just for the sake of fighting him, which, you know, it makes sense in a story
because of the Bala woman.
But, you know,
is this the guy from the episode I saw with you guys a couple weeks ago where
with the jacked up face?
I don't know if he was jacked up, and he kept having opposition when they had that sit down.
It was the gray hair. He had the 2 others with him while Silver was walking around trying to figure out who was against him. And he kept walking him outside to talk to him? Yeah.
That guy? Okay.
Yeah, and this guy, he's just, you know, you think that he's just being a thorn in the side of Flint just to be a thorn in the side.
I liked him. I thought he was a really good character.
Oh, I thought he was too, right up until the boat went through his skull.
Just mished, just a little bit, just a little smishing.
Yeah, just a little smush. When they had the ship beached, it wasn't secured properly.
Because a lazy-ass pirates trying to get laid.
Well, even though Billy did tell those lazy-ass pirates
a fuck tent was a bad idea.
Oh, yeah. Going all the way back to right after when he was made quartermaster. Yeah, he said a fuck tent was a bad idea. And then he told them to not secure, to not use the palm tree they did to secure the ship.
They were supposed to go one back, and it was important, and they said, fuck it, let's go get laid.
And they just decided to go to the fuck tent. And big gust
Which is what it was called, by the way. We're not being graphic. Yeah. That's actually what they called it.
Oh, what about fuck tent?
It was,
that's
dialogue
exactly
in the
how they
show,
said it, yeah. And, so, you know, things happen. Big gust of wind. All the palm trees on that little island uproot, and
just a little bit for a little smush. Just a little smush.
While he was trying to save the old man, the crazy old man, the former cook.
It was going to smash the kitty, man.
It was going to smash the kitty. The crazy guy went after it. Scurvy's a kind of fucked up thing. And, yeah, so he kind of sacrificed his life. This was after Captain Flint cut off his leg with a butcher cleaver.
That John Silver gave him.
Silver slid it over to him. He ran over, cut off his leg. My money, Peg Leg Pete.
That's probably... But here's what was really cool about that whole interaction is between Long John Silver and Captain Flint was that Flint needs him on his side to get the Lima. So John Silver's still trying to win his trust so he doesn't murder him after they get the ship.
As soon as they find the Urka.
And he's not being disingenuous either, because what he's doing is he has no reason to lie to him. He needs that money, and so he's in it for his own interest, so why would he lie?
Yeah, no, he's got no reason to lie right now. It's his life.
He undercooked the pig the first time, and then Flint taught him how to cook it right, and he brought up some stuff about Billy Bones and stuff, and so now he's earning his trust and earning his way on the ship. But it's going to be cool when that showdown happens. But
it's inevitable. I mean, there's only 4 episodes left in this first run. They only gave it 8 to start off with, and they have 13 episodes for the next run, so it's going to be very interesting.
And where do you see it moving towards? I mean, I haven't been watching as much as you guys, so...
Well, here's the thing, is that all that stuff's really cool, except that I can only really focus on the fact that I had to watch that horrible rape scene again.
Yes.
And so it takes so much away from the show, because they're going for that graphic violence nod, and it's just so disgusting, and I can't. If they don't stop doing it, then I'm gonna pull my support from the show.
I mean, I can see it happening once just to progress that storyline and have a revenge factor for that one chick.
Right, because it was the rape that led to that led to the leader of the island removing Vane from the captaincy of the Ranger.
And that probably was where you probably should have ended it.
Exactly.
But what is it doing now to further?
Well, then after that, Max had said to Captain Vane, I cost you your ship, so until my debt's paid, I'm yours.
Yeah.
And the crew took that as, well, you know what, we're just going to go on ahead and start raping. And it makes no sense, because she doesn't even want to do that. She's like, she said to the guy before he raped her in that episode...
Gentleness could be rewarded, but it didn't matter because he just popped her in the fucking grill.
Yeah, he beat the tar out of her and...
raped her
fucked her silly. I mean,
I would like to think where the show is going and things like that, but this is such a linchpin now that if it doesn't stop in the next episode, I might just stop watching.
I mean, I think we're going to get some serious movement because we're halfway through, and they haven't even left for the pursuit of the Urka. I mean, I think that maybe
here's the thing. With all the remembrance of the rape scene, the cannon ship is taking off, and they've got to go get it.
Yes, they do have to go chase down the ship to get their guns that they were promised. And the girl's dad, I forget her name. I mean, it's just not important, even though she's a central character.
Oh, the blonde chick?
Yeah, it's just not a very memorable name. Vane's Peace.
Yeah.
And it's her dad sold them out and sent the ship with all the guns off, and now they got to go chase him to go get him down to get him back. And that could be where the next 4 episodes end up going. I just don't know.
And then obviously they're going to end with some sort of a cliffhanger.
Well, yeah. And the entire end of this series is the beginning of Treasure Island.
Okay.
Well, yeah, because they've been renewed for 1 season already, but the problem is that the viewership already dropped. They had 800,000 views the first episode, and by the time I saw the results for the second episode, it had dropped by 200,000 views. So I think that other people are starting to find the show monotonous, and then that the rape scenes are just too much. And it's a shame, too, because it's actually a really good show.
But isn't it also a problem of the station that it's on?
Starz delivers crap. This is the first Starz show I've really seen that kind of really wowed me.
Well, I meant more that most people don't even have that as part of their package.
No, and here's the thing, is that the views for the first runs of the episodes, the Saturday night runs of the episodes, have gone down. But the weekend replay total views for the first 48 hours have stayed consistent. People aren't watching it on Saturday, but they're catching it Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening. It's one of the most DVR'd shows on the network.
Saturday's such a crap day to run a TV program, too.
It is. I mean, they should run it on Sunday, like Game of Thrones or Walking Dead.
Yeah. Walking Dead is back.
Yes. We're just going to go right into The Walking Dead, the second episode. How awesome was it?
It completely redeemed the first episode, which was an utter pile of dog crap. Carl ate some pudding. That's pretty much the gist of episode 1. Episode 2 came out, and if you haven't seen it by now, you're making a serious mistake. But Tyrese has the baby.
I felt like the first episode could have easily been 15 minutes, not that whole hour. Everything they did in that first episode could have been about 15 minutes and then moved on. But they like to drag things out.
It should have been the second episode.
I think it was a way just to break Carl out of the angsty thing, like the I don't need you, Shane was better crap that he was doing.
Well, I usually watch Talking Dead right after, and a lot of times, they have like Kirkman on there, or they have Nicotero and stuff, and he was bringing up that you just had that last episode where you had the governor attack the prison, and all that craziness happened. You couldn't go right from a major emotional episode like that into another one, so they kind of had this little lull in between.
See, it should have been flipped over.
I completely agree with that.
It should have been a continuation, and then you have the lull.
Yeah.
They weren't going to give it to episode 3, though, because I see that they're obviously moving in new directions. They just introduced Abraham.
Yeah, Abraham is going to be amazing. I'm so excited. If you didn't read the books, you're in for one hell of a ride with Abraham. He's a combination, if I had to put it into two characters from The Walking Dead, he's a combination of Daryl and Dale. He's the moral compass, but he's also a badass.
He's a super badass. And here's the thing, with the way that the preview looks for the next episode, I don't know if they're going to run Abraham Paragon. I think that he might be a tweener.
I think what they're going to do is Abraham is going to be this kind of unknown wild card character. Matt and I know, because we know Abraham from the books. A lot of people know Abraham from the books. But
his death did not do him justice, Kirkman.
For the people who don't know Abraham, it's going to be a pretty cool ride to watch him team up with them. Kind of what they did with Tyrese when they introduced him in 3.
It kind of throws that new dynamic because you got your certified badasses, Rick, Michonne, Daryl, and to be honest, Daryl is really what the Abraham aspect of the show has been to this point. He's really done Abraham's jobs up to this point, and the relationship that Rick has with Daryl is kind of the relationship that he has with Abraham in the book. So I'm really kind of interested to see, because they obviously trotted out the three initial characters that were introduced when Abraham was introduced, and to give you some reference of how long it took them to put him in the show. Abraham comes into the books when they first introduced herds of zombies. So he's been in the comic series from very early on until just now in the Negan series.
I want to say it was issue 10. It was issue 10 when they brought him in, because they killed Shane in issue 6.
Yeah, it was quick.
On the Talking Dead, they were saying that at that end pose where you saw, what's the chick's name? That's with...
lesbian.
No, the one that's with
She's
Abraham.
Rosalie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Rosalina, Eugene, and Abraham. They were standing in a pose when they were talking to her.
Straight from the comics.
Right from the comics.
Yep.
But he said it was issue 53.
Okay.
So,
they did a lot of... The herds were introduced as far as being a massive, major component. Like the highway scene, where they're crawling on top of the RVs and staying quiet while they're walking through. That was a concept that was introduced with Abraham.
Yeah,
so
the herds of walkers making their way, looking for something to eat.
At least that's the way I remember it, as far as it's being written.
They've made good case that they're not following exactly the lore of the comics.
I love that.
No, it's been completely jacked out of whack.
It's been nitpicked here and there.
They hit the prison before they hit Herschel's farm, and so...
But the one thing I did, I've kind of glanced on Wikipedia and stuff like that about stuff that happens in the books, and Matt was even telling me too, that there's a serial killer that is at the prison.
Yep.
They never really broached it, but there's that little chick.
Oh, that little chick.
Actually,
and she kills those little bunnies and stuff.
Yeah.
In the comic book series,
they might be making her.
In the comic book series, there's a character that does that, but they're not 2 girls, they're 2 little boys, and they're brothers. And what ends up happening is, because of all the screwed up stuff that's been happening, and all because the child killer in the prison decapitates 2 children. And there was that one boy who kind of just snapped, and he kills his brother. And so I'm thinking that she's the parallel character there, that it's 2 little girls, because that's going to be more TV hard-hitting.
They make it little girls because little girls are terrifying.
Yeah, have you seen The Shining?
Yeah, The Shining, The Ring.
Yes.
Poltergeist.
The Grudge, the game Fear, Alma.
From Fear. Little bitch
That's the most terrifying thing ever. Alright, nothing scares me in this world except for little girls and snakes.
Children's laughter at 3 a.m. when you have no kids.
Yes.
I was totally convinced, though, that she was going to suffocate that baby.
Oh, me too.
They're not going to kill that baby. They had the perfect opportunity to walk away and not address that anymore, and they've gotten the baby off the show. And then all of a sudden, Tyrese turns around, and there's the fucking baby, and you're like, woo!
It was because of the internet reaction and the backlash to Tyrese being a sniveling little bitch all last season, all the first half of the season and the previous. Just a sniveling little bitch. So they're like, let's endear him. But if you actually go back and you watch the mid-season finale, you see Tyrese picking up the baby.
I didn't even notice
It's
that.
a very quick scene, and he does it off to the side.
Okay.
But like they're focusing on the bus or something, and you see Tyrese run up to the cradle or whatever.
I just figured they brought her back just so they could have that gratuitous moment of Rick going, "Oh my God, she's still around."
Yeah, they did. But here's the thing too: is that just when the zombies are about to strike, who comes around, who's been around the whole time, that everybody remembered and said this would happen, and then everybody simultaneously forgot, and Carol shows back up with the girls.
That's exactly what I said to him.
Great. It was great when Carol showed up.
I called it when I came back on Sunday late, and you got back up out of bed and came and watched the replay with me. Did I not call it right before it happened?
Oh yeah.
I was watching it, and he was saying that you're going to see somebody, and you're going to be like, "Holy shit, I can't remember, I forgot." And the whole time I'm sitting there, I'm waiting, when's Carol coming back? When's Carol coming back? Here's the perfect opportunity, and I wasn't even thinking of it.
It was everybody, and when you were trying to grill me about the show, I wouldn't give you anything, and that's the way he did it. It was Cameron did it. It was perfect, and you were trying to plug me for information. I could literally tell you.
I was going back to
doing
Herschel's
anything.
farm. I was going back to CDC. I even asked him if it was Morgan.
Yeah,
he was like, nope. And I just totally blanked on Carol.
I have this weird feeling Morgan's going to turn up again.
he does in the comics. It's
He
not
does.
a reason.
No. He does, but I mean that episode Clear, where it was just him and Andrew Lincoln, was just such a fantastically acted episode.
Yeah, it was really
by
good.
two British actors.
Pretending to be Americans,
and it was just two guys that were buddies, and it's one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah, I mean, just to see his descent into madness with all that stuff on the wall and everything that he wrote.
Oh yeah.
As a parent, man, if my kid something ever happened, I would probably lose my shit. And that's pretty on par for about the level of crazy. I think maybe a little crazier. I think they had to tone it down, but I think imagine if your kid got eaten by his mom zombie. He'd be pretty screwed up too, man. I wouldn't be okay.
See, it was a very well framed episode, because I watched it the first time and I kind of had no idea what was going on. You know, when they open up with Daryl and Beth, and then it becomes Tyrese and the two little girls. You know, I didn't really catch it until I'd watched about 10 minutes of Talking Dead afterwards, where Daryl identified the tracks and saying, they're about 5 hours old. So when I went back and I watched it again with Matt when he got home, I was able to tell Matt, I'm like, okay, this is going to get just a little bit confusing here.
But I was picking up the
But there's a lot of little things that are going to lead into the second act of this episode.
The tree stump and the weird stuff, and then you couldn't tell what it is. And then later on, you see that
and the bunnies, and you see the dead bunnies like 5 minutes into the episode.
Yeah, but it's hard to tell what they are.
Yeah, and then you see the little girl playing with them with a knife, and it was cool. It was just a really good episode. And then New Alexandria.
Yep.
None of us have talked about New Alexandria / Terminus, which is the end of the road. For those who don't know
what that means,
what Terminus meant, it was the end of the railway.
We Googled.
Yeah. And so it's very exciting to see where they're going to go with the final 6 episodes of this season.
I'm just curious to see if they're going to bring everybody back as one big group, or it's just going to be a slow matriculation into it.
Let's be totally honest here, okay? This is The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
If there's anything they do, it's slow, monotonous, mind-numbing, soul-crushing boredom, slow fucking.
I think the Hunters are going to take out a couple of them, because it was the road to New Alexandria when the Hunters showed up.
From the books?
Yeah, the really
crazy cannibal
rapey cannibals. Yeah, they're going to turn up.
But they don't have a Dale to eat.
And they've kind of brought them already into the story. Because you remember when the governor, that's our boss, I call him Governor Phil.
Yeah, when that camp that was just ravaged.
And we thought it was the governor who did it, and he's like, no, it wasn't me. So obviously somebody else is lurking around.
Well, you remember the girl that Andrew Lincoln was hanging out with? He saw her at the fence, and he
They
followed
were
her.
part of another group.
And she had her husband's severed head,
Trying to
and
feed
she
him,
was talking about eating people.
Yeah.
She said she had killed to survive. And then you've got a corpse or two at the campsite, and then you've got his head in a bag just chomping away.
Yeah.
So
and then you've seen her in every episode as a zombie so far.
Yep.
It's the flowing pants. You just gotta look for the flowing pants.
You look
I know
for the
she was in
dress.
the one because they brought it up on Talking Dead, but I didn't know it was in all of them.
It was in a lot of them, yeah. I've
since-
noticed
since
her
they
almost
killed
every
her.
time. She's a recurring zombie.
I mean, she's hanging out by the prisons. That's where she got killed, so it's not, incomprehensible that we would kind of, see her a lot.
Yeah,
Well, with
there've
all
been
the
lots
noise
of
that
dead
happened.
zombies and shit since then, and she showed up enough times to have been speared in the face.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the zombies all the noise that was made at the assault on the prison. Yeah, that would definitely attract her over to the prison.
Now, the one question I would have is why didn't Glenn use the Molotov cocktail
To burn zombies
to
instead of
burn
the
the
car?
zombies before running into them?
Because he's retarded.
Well, obviously, because it's the storyline, that's how they wanted to play out. But
Everything
in
he's done
reality,
is stupid.
I think it's
Yeah.
the overwhelming factor of it too. Like he was. Yeah, it's weird. I don't get that.
Plus, it costs a lot more money to light 6 people on fire than it does to light a car that's already destroyed on fire.
Well, you don't
Yeah.
even have to do that. He could have thrown it from there over to the car, and then they all would have went after the car.
I just
And
want to
then
know
he
why
could've
he had to
skated by.
destroy such a good bottle of booze.
What was that, McAllen?
It was something delicious, and
Yeah.
he just shit on it.
Like you saw the label and you fired out what it was, and
Yeah, I don't remember what
it
it was,
was
but
a very
I
good
saw it.
bottle.
I knew exactly what it was when I saw it. It's one of those top shelf liquors that you're like, oh yeah, baby.
Well, you want to go on keeping living, so you got to do what you got to do. So.
I want to go on keeping living with a nice buzz
Not if you get
from an
eaten by zombies.
ever-aging scotch.
then you end up like what was his name, Rodriguez or whoever it was that the governor killed
Yes.
with the
Yeah.
golf club.
Yep.
During one of the solo governor episodes,
Yep.
and then he took over the camp.
And then he fed him to the zombies?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
fed him to the
I don't
zombies.
think that if I drink some booze, I'm going to get fed to the zombies by a crazy one-eyed man.
Well, they were hammered drunk, and he just decided to kill him.
Well, because he's a sociopath.
Well, and you also probably saw him as a threat because he was kind of
He was
talking like
trying to bring him back as the leader, and he was trying to do... He was living in that fictitious universe in his mind where he was trying to be... He got his family back, and he's trying to live it again, but he's really a sociopath, that he's truly broken. And then he's trying to stay on that level of... I don't want to be the governor again, and I'm Brian now, and so it's, yeah.
I was just
He
glad
kind of
that
had to kill him because he was like snapping him out of his reality, and then he just went full ape shit.
I was
right back.
I was just glad that in the first episode they showed him laying there with a bullet in his head. That way, so you didn't get people going, "Oh, the governor's going to come back. The governor's he's going to show up and save the day. Him and Rick are going to be partners."
We saw him get shot, so I mean.
Well, you didn't see him get shot.
Yeah,
they
they
didn't
didn't
see
show the brains.
Yeah, they didn't show the bullet and everything.
So then when they
like-
come back for the first episode
They
back,
could've, yes.
they showed the side profile, and you can see the entry wound, and you
Yeah.
know the governor's dead for good.
Yeah.
And they killed his girlfriend off screen.
Yes.
Snooze.
That pissed me off. We should have seen her get just ravaged by walkers.
Especially when you're going to make it part of the storyline as to why that chick was sitting in a cage all by herself, freaked out.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you take 2 seconds to show a little flashback of what happened to her?
It was so anticlimactic. She might as well have just said something like, the zombies just all said, "We like the bitches because they're so delicious."
I mean, personally, if I was Glenn, I would have just kept on going. I mean, I know he was trying to maybe help her, but help him as
Meat
well.
shield. That's somebody who owes you something, who owes you a favor. And you're basically looking in the situation of I need me some... It's like, we all have that guy, that person we know, who would just throw to the wolves and just be like, "Hey, it's your turn to run into the dangerous pack of zombies with no body armor, while I go the other way."
Are you talking about the fat guy that Shane kind of crippled to
It's
get
kind
away
of
from?
It's kind of like
exactly.
it's kind of like it's kind of like politics in general, and House of Cards is something that Cameron insists on putting on the television, and I keep trying to ignore, but I keep getting sucked into this just absolutely awesome show. Cam, you've watched a whole lot of this. What do you think, man? This is just
It is quite possibly one of the most enthralling TV shows that I've ever seen. It's only on Netflix. You have Netflix, Darren?
No, I don't.
I would recommend getting it. $8.99 a month.
It's unbeatable, man. I watch all kinds of crap on that.
They have original programming.
I've been trying to, get my wife to get us away from the cable packages and the satellite and everything, because you can get all this stuff for a whole lot cheaper.
Oh, yeah.
And all you need is an HDMI cable hooked up to the computer, to the TV, because almost all TVs are HDMI.
Go buy the Roku box that I just bought last night, $100.
And you'll be saving so much more money, and you can watch all the same stuff between Hulu, Netflix, or just go to their website. Sometimes they have episodes. Like CBS.com might show an episode.
How do you come up with that stuff, by the way? Like, you're always popping in with, the newest, greatest, unheard of device, like the Ouya. How the fuck did you find out about that?
Internet research.
The Ouya, I almost donated to its Kickstarter. The website Kickstarter, where people put up their dream projects. Yeah. Well, the Ouya was one of those things on Kickstarter where if you donated $50 to get it produced, once it got produced, they would send you one. And I got into it too late, but I always kept my eye out for it. And I knew when it was going to launch, and that is quite possibly one of the best $100 devices I ever bought.
It's the shit, man. I use that thing all the time.
I can use it as an emulator and play Super Nintendo, Game Boy games, N64 games. I use it for
That's not what we do.
I use it to watch my live sports.
Can you do old school Nintendo?
I can do an old school Nintendo.
I might have to get it just for Super Mario.
It's just an Android-based game console.
That's pretty cool,
You can use apps on it and all that other stuff, and you can basically play the same stuff that's on your phone on it. And it's wonderful. Once you get it to work properly, once you get some stuff that you need to work some kinks out, it took me 2 weeks to figure out how to get our football games on it.
But to your credit, you sat on that thing and ground, you just spent 2 weeks trying to, and you really did, man. It was kind of creepy, but it's when he figured it out, the payoff was so good, because he knew he could do it, he just had to figure out what was wrong, and he spent every minute of 2 weeks just trying to work this thing out while I was pirating his PlayStation 4, just...
Yeah, and so when I got it figured out, I'm sitting there just messing around with it on the other TV, and I just threw the controller up in the air. I'm like, yes! Woo-hoo! Yeah! And man goes, what are you doing? And I had just turned on, the Bayern Leverkusen match, and he's like, how did you do that? What is this wizardry?
And that's how he won his PlayStation 4 back.
Yeah.
Shiny objects, glitter in the air, or Bayern Munich. That's how those things will work.
But going back to House of Cards, did you like The West Wing?
I watched bits and pieces, but I never got really.
But you mentioned way better than The West
Wing. You know how the political, they talked about the back channeling and all that in Washington. Well, think of it this way: think Matt gets a promotion over you. Mm-hmm. You're mad, aren't you? Because you've been at the company longer and you've done everything. You've been the Boy Scout for the company.
But I brown nosed just the right way.
Matt got to where he is by jumping over you.
Yeah.
What is your one mission?
To end him.
That's exactly what Kevin Spacey playing Frank Underwood in House of Cards does.
Okay.
And he does it by throwing his political weight around, not taking any shit from anybody. I'll just give you a little hint. 3 minutes into the episode, Kevin Spacey's getting ready to go to the president's inauguration, where he's going to be told that he's not going to be the Speaker of the House. And a car hits a dog and goes speeding off, and Secret Service comes inside and goes, hey, we didn't get a plate or anything like that. And he's like, oh, that's my neighbor's dogs. And the neighbors come running up, and he tells Secret Service to take them and go try to get a plate. And he's standing, and he's got this internal monologue where he looks right at the camera and he's talking to you.
It's really cool, by the way. I think only Spacey can do that.
And there's this injured dog. You don't see the dog injured on the screen or anything like that. And Kevin Spacey just looks right at the camera. He's like, there are two kinds of pain in the world: useful pain and useless pain. I have no interest for useless things, and kills the dog and puts it out of its misery.
Wow.
And then it just goes to the title, House of Cards. And you're like, okay, cool, I'm 5 minutes into this. Let me get going. And yeah, the entire time it's Kevin Spacey maneuvering himself from the minority whip in the Senate all the way up to he's the vice president.
Oh, that's
he's one heartbeat away from the presidency right now.
And he's gunning for that son of a bitch too.
And there's many other storylines, like the girl that he gets involved with who works at the news, who who he uses to leak stories to help tank these other guys' political
Cross
careers.
the train.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen episode 2 of season 2, episode 1 of
We
House of
still don't
Cards.
care.
Yeah, we really don't care. But she meets up with Kevin Spacey in the train station, and she's talking. You killed somebody. You killed somebody. And he's like, nobody else is talking about it. Why don't you just shut your mouth? Is in essence what he's telling her.
Uh-huh.
And then she's like, no, you killed somebody, and we need to hide this. And he goes, okay, and he grabs her and he throws her in front of a subway train, and she just
And
done.
just kind of walks off.
And he just walks off like nothing ever happened.
Rula, rula, rula.
Yeah.
Silence achieved.
Yeah, 25 episodes. Netflix releases a whole season on one day, which was Valentine's Day. Great move, Netflix. Hey, honey, we gotta go out to dinner. Oh, just 1 second, babe. House of Cards is on.
The whole season, all at once.
And then you end up just watching the entire thing. And I definitely recommend it if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's really cool. You know what? And I only catch every other episode or so, but it's really not hard to keep up with because they do a really good job of recapping if you miss one. But it's really cool because it's just like it's this really different kind of just espionage, politician kind of mishmash, jamble, timey-wimey stuff, and it's a really good show, and I can't stop watching it. Like I'm busy trying to build my ultimate team, and here's Cameron putting on goddamn House of Cards, and I can't pay attention. I'm losing games I shouldn't lose.
Yeah, he's sitting there playing FIFA, and I turn on House of Cards. He just presses pause on the PlayStation 4 remote, and he just turns and he looks at the TV, and he just sits down and watches like 5 hours with me.
Nice. And then you turn on How I Met Your Mother, and I go right back to FIFA.
Hey, come on. How I Met Your Mother is legend. Wait for it.
Crappy.
Dairy. Legendary.
I've watched brief episodes here and there. I know the Doogie Howser guy character is pretty cool, but I was kind of confused though because I was watching the beginning of it. I was thinking that the How I Met Your Mother was one of the chicks that was there on the not the Allison Hannigan character, but the other one,
Robin.
The dark-haired Robin.
Yeah.
But then Robin hooks up with Neil Patrick Harris's character.
See, I don't think that is all entirely over. We got 6 episodes left in the season, in the series.
Because my impression was that Robin was the one he winds up with.
I think the mother's going to die giving birth to the second child, the son. And then a little ways down the road, Barney and Robin are going to get a divorce, and then Ted's going to marry Robin. Okay. Because every time that Ted has a breakup, he runs right back to Robin. Every time. And Robin has a breakup, and she runs back to him. It's like it's been there right in front of our faces the entire time. It's a 1-hour finale on March 6th. So I'm going to watch it.
How did you get that Space Boots and a Cape conclusion?
How did I get it?
Well, he watches that all the time.
I actually just watched one of the episodes in Season 8 last night. It was the Robots vs. Wrestlers episode where at the end of it, Ted realizes that it was a conversation they had 2 years ago, and everybody's getting married but him, and he's sad. And at the end of it, he sprints to the mother's apartment, and she opens up the door, and he's like, 46 days. In 46 days, I'm going to meet you. In 46 days, we're going to fall in love. And we will eventually get married and we'll have 2 kids. I want those extra 46 days with you. Now, you don't know if it's a reference to her dying or if it's just a reference to he ends up falling so in love with this girl that he wants those extra 46 days with her. I'm thinking that she dies.
Yeah.
Because it would just be the cop-out that the show would go to. And I'll be pissed off if he ends up with Robin.
But why would he or she know that there's only those extra 46?
He was telling it to the kids, and he goes, kids, I could have done one of 2 things. I could have just gone home and moped, or I could have done this, and I could have ran to your mom's apartment and told her.
The basic premise of the show is him talking to his kids?
Yes.
Like as a narration, and we're just watching
it's the year 2030, and he's telling the story to the kids of how he met Mom.
Oh, okay.
And so every once in a while they'll cut back to the 2 kids sitting on the couch, and they look like they're just not having a good time, but every episode is a story that he's telling to his kids.
Okay.
Like the goat and the slutty pumpkin. Love the slutty pumpkin.
Talking about goats, the most must-watch event of the Sunday is not Walking Dead, but it is the Elimination Chamber. We'll be watching both simultaneously, but...
No, I think I'll just TiVo Walking Dead and watch it right after Elimination Chamber. It'll be like 11:30 when we go to sleep. Not a big deal.
Yeah, nah. Because we get to fast forward through all the crap that you know is going to be on the schedule.
Yes.
There are 2 matches that are incredible. The Elimination Chamber, which is always really cool, which is, it's kind of hard to have a bad Elimination Chamber. The only thing bad about it is the ending. And just because the match is going to be good, I'm okay with the ending. So I'm going to just come out and say it. You kind of already have an idea of what's going on. But the match I really want to see is the Wyatt family versus the Shield.
Follow the buzzards.
I love Bray Wyatt. He's like my favorite character. I like that whole dynamic they've got. I think that if they gave more of their wrestlers creative control over their content, you'd get more Bray Wyatts. And the Shield is a great group of wrestlers too. I'm really starting to like Seth Rollins, where he was the weakest link before. And Ambrose has got the mic skills. He's got the swarmy kind of villainy character that's always going to be on the mid-card. But then they've got Roman Reigns and Bray Wyatt out of these 2 groups, which are pretty much, you're getting an idea of what the future of WrestleMania is going to be with these guys, I think.
Instead of Cena versus Orton, we're going to be so angry in about 5 years that every pay-per-view is being headlined by Bray Wyatt versus Roman Reigns.
Yes.
And I actually think with the network launch being on Monday, Daniel Bryan will win the Elimination Chamber. I'm saying it right now. He'll go on to face Dave Bautista at WrestleMania.
And then probably lose.
I think it's going to be Randy Orton.
Well, I mean, you know that it's not going to be Christian. And you know that it's not going to be Sheamus, because he's just coming back.
They said a couple of weeks ago that Christian was only in the match because they couldn't find anybody suitable to replace him.
He replaced CM Punk.
Yeah, he replaced CM Punk in the
was
match.
supposed to be in it.
Yeah, that's the theory. That's the theory I came up with.
I would have figured, maybe Cesaro was the one, because he's the weird one out that you didn't see coming.
Cesaro,
I'm glad.
I am on Team Cesaro. I am absolutely 100% behind Team Cesaro. They dropped the Antonio. Cesaro is the best wrestler they have. He has got the most incredible ring talent. I think he's better than Daniel Bryan.
Oh, yes. He's definitely been doing it longer than Daniel Bryan. I know that.
He could have a match with a mop, and it would be the best match on the card.
Oh, I think he did.
He would definitely be the breakout
got
star.
The personality of something that clean shit.
Cesaro has this repertoire of moves that are so incredible. The neutralizer is a great finisher. The tossing European uppercut, the gorilla press into the uppercut, is awesome. And then the whirlbird, where he grabs you by your legs and swings you around.
Cesaro
like
swing,
You
man.
always got to have a gimmick, and that's his gimmick.
Oh, it's not a gimmick. It's impossible to do.
Something that gets over with the crowd.
He got a standing ovation from the performers and all the head honchos that were in the back after that match with Cena on Raw on Monday.
Oh, wow.
He walked to the backstage, and everybody was there giving him a standing ovation.
That guy should be the new Iron Sheik.
Mm-hmm.
I still would have had him beat Cena. I mean, you had him beat Orton, so if he can beat the champion, why can't he beat Cena?
Exactly, and that's the really aggravating part about the booking of the WWE.
Yes,
here's the thing: you could cast him in the perfect role. Okay, remember the Iron Sheik? Okay, this guy was awesome. He was like the mainstay of their organization at the time, and he was really incredible at being able to get that heat and do all these things. Look at his Twitter. His Twitter's hilarious. But you can take Cesaro and you can put him in that kind of not from America role. But he's truly like the biggest, not the biggest, but he's the strongest guy. He's got the most menacing moves. He's got the best matches, and you can make anybody into a serious face if you just do the guy the right way. You got to put the strap on him.
Did you think that maybe Alex Rusev is taking that role?
No,
the Bulgarian brute, unstoppable, power moves that nobody can get away from.
I think you could make a coalition.
It's just another Ryback. It's just another Goldberg. I mean, it's the same thing all over.
Ryberg.
There you go.
But he doesn't have a hot Russian chick tailoring him around.
That's not bad.
You know what? And it depends on the camera angle for her.
Say it all the time. Sometimes hot, sometimes not.
Yeah, you see her from the left, not hot. You see her from the front, You see her
at the
top
right
down,
angle?
like POV porn. Yeah, she's hot.
and the wannabe fake Russian accent, whether it's real or not.
She's from Gainesville, Florida. Of all
She
places.
does speak Russian, though. It's
Oh, what? She pulls it off well.
She speaks Russian, but she's born and raised in Gainesville.
And spoiler alert, I googled it. She is naked on the internet.
Oh.
Yes, Lana WWE. Just Google that.
We'll pause for a few minutes.
But the NXT, those NXT characters are really kind of just popping out. They're really becoming the stars of the show. Look at Big E Langston. Look at the Shield. Look at the Wyatts. All these guys look at Fandango.
Yep.
You got all these guys coming from NXT who are really talented wrestlers. Like, still have a crop of really good guys down there. Sami Zayn. You've got the man who gravity forgot, Adrian Neville. You've got Corey Graves down there, who I don't like him all the time, but he's still a marketable wrestler.
Graves is going to step into that CM Punk role. He kind of resembles CM Punk.
He was the backup plan, I agree.
Yeah, he's going to step into that role, and he's going to run with it.
Well, that's the one good thing about WWE is that they always have those next line of guys ready to at least attempt.
They got one guy down there. They got one guy, and this guy is going to be the new, who's the stupid guy with the Viper? Fucking Santino Marella.
Marella, yeah.
They got a guy down there who is so awesome. If there's anything he's not SAWFT soft. Oh, man.
Enzo Amore. He's a certified G and a bona fide stud.
This guy is... Originally when we were watching, we just started laughing because he was so funny on the TV, on NXT, and you were just like, who is this clown? And he comes out with his tag team partner. My name is Enzo Amore, and this is Big Gas. Bada boom, realest guys in the room. And so you start watching these guys, and you can't help but love him because he's so charismatic and he's so into his role. It's his content. He's gonna be a star.
Their gimmick is money. Their gimmick is money.
Are they not ready yet?
He's rehabbing a foot injury.
Yeah, he's injured.
But now they have him rolling around in a wheelchair backstage.
But he's got the one thing that counts.
He can talk.
Because I would have figured they would have brought...
That's not what counts in the WWE.
He's got a look.
John Cena likes him.
That too.
Oh, that helps. I would have thought they would have brought him up at the same time as Emma.
No.
They're trying to make that Divas division different, I think, because of the lack of buzz with the WWE Women's Champion, AJ. And it's a shame because she's like one of the best characters on the show. They're going to that diva format where they're trying to get rid of all their Amazons, and they're going to these more effeminate-looking women who are very attractive, who are also starting to learn the ring business.
That Divas division won't be right until Paige gets up. Until Paige comes up from
the anti-diva.
NXT.
They have one chick, I'm friend, well not friends, but like on Facebook, I have her on there, Sarah Backman. She's arm wrestling champion.
Oh, yeah. No, she hasn't debuted on NXT yet.
No, but she's already been training and stuff like that. And, she's got the right combination of a little bit of muscle, but not like Amazon crazy and hot as hell.
I think Triple H probably put her in there.
Triple H is the reason why we have this influx of talent to NXT and to the main roster.
I don't think it's all him. I think it's got a lot to do with Dusty Rhodes.
Triple H was given control of the minor leagues 2.5 years ago, which is when Big E Langston showed up, which is when Enzo Amore showed up, which is when all these guys ended up turning up. And now we're seeing...
Who do you have to thank for their training, though?
Oh, you have to. You thank the guys that are down there. Billy Gunn.
Billy Gunn is a major reason as to why these really talented. He's the guy who trained a lot of these guys.
Joey Mercury.
Yeah,
now that he's cleaned himself up, Joey Mercury's down there. Al Snow is not.
No, he's in
TNA. He got
hurt,
didn't he?
Yeah,
he's in TNA. But what's his name? Bill DeMott.
Bill DeMott.
But he did have a big deal to train the guys who are coming up.
And the best thing that could have happened to NXT and the WWE as a whole is deciding to bring in these Ring of Honor guys.
Yeah.
Who are really talented wrestlers.
Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn
Indies.
he was El Generico in Ring of Honor. Yeah. Ole, 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 ole.
He's
is
awesome.
What they chant during his matches. And, he brings this, you know what, I'm not from the 90s. I know how to react to crowds today. And he's kind of an employee trainer, like the player coach used to be back in the 60s with baseball.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of that wrestler trainer where, he can help get the best out of some guys. I mean, Sami Zayn did wonders for what's his name? Bray Wyatt's brother, Bo Dallas.
Bo Dallas, yeah.
He did wonders for Bo Dallas because he helped Bo Dallas with the gimmick that he was just naive.
I don't like that gimmick. I like you know what I really liked is when he came out and faced off with Adrian Neville at the contract signing. That was a completely different dude. That was a completely different set of mic skills. He's really talented, and they are making him shit on himself by coming this huge heel because everybody hates him. The chant "No Mo Bo." I can't stand his matches, but when he came out and he had that kind of angry visage about him, he was a totally different wrestler. He was really good.
I think he was a slow burn. I think he was a slow burn from a face to a heel, because when he won the title, he won it off of Big E Langston, and it was two faces that had gone against each other.
But you could bring him up now with,
And
like, Kofi Kingston and stuff.
Well, he's been up for a minute. Remember, they almost
He was in the Royal Rumble. He
Yeah.
won that Access Battle Royale.
Yeah, and he almost beat what's his name for the Intercontinental
Wade
title,
Barrett.
didn't he?
Yeah,
And
well,
then
he had
almost-
the-
He
that
had
was
the feud with Wade Barrett.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden he went away.
Yeah, beat him down backstage, and he got sent back to NXT.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
how
because
it
his
happened.
matches were not being watched.
Yeah, nobody cared to watch him. But I liked that it was kind of a slow turn. I mean, he went from being a fan favorite. He was a fan favorite when he won the title from Big E Langston, because they had changed Big E Langston into being more of a tweener. He leaned more face, but he wasn't really a heel.
Well, I know they said that a lot of Big E Langston's best work was down in NXT, and they didn't really let him shine in WWE because he was just Dolph Ziggler's lackey for a while. And slowly they're kind of letting him be himself, but not what he was in NXT.
I think that a guy like Big E Langston needs to be a powerhouse. He needs to be.
They need to bring back the 5 count.
He
The Gorilla
needs to
Monsoon 5
be
count.
into the vein of Batista after Evolution.
No.
You know, you give us just the badass. Give us Drax the Destroyer Batista. Just he doesn't care. He's just angry about stuff, and he's just going to take it out on whoever. And when you talk about Drax the Destroyer, you talk about Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians
That was a very hard transition to do. I'll be the first one to say that sucked. But
I
there's
gave
no
you
way to.
Batista. How is that hard to transition over to?
But like it was smooth, but it was also really terrible. I apologize for that.
It's all right.
Guardians of the Galaxy trailer debuted on Jimmy Kimmel Live, the first teaser trailer for the Guardians of the Galaxy. It's Marvel's next movie after Captain America the Winter Soldier, and it's a very unknown property. Very unknown
Guardians of the
property.
Galaxy is going to blow all these movies out of the water just from the teaser trailers and all the like little tidbits and Easter eggs they give you. I've been watching it religiously. Anytime anything Guardians of the Galaxy is coming out, I'm absolutely insane about the show. It's going to be such a cool movie because it's the D team and they've got complete creative licensing. Because I don't care how much of a comic book geek you think you are, if you can spout off a bunch of things about Guardians of the Galaxy, you are super geek. And not anybody I know and I know some really diverse fans, knows anything about the Guardians of the Galaxy that they didn't wiki read.
Have you ever heard of the Guardians of the Galaxy?
Only heard about it when it was going to be made into a movie.
I knew about Rocket Raccoon, but I never knew about Star-Lord or anybody like that.
Well, it's a team of 5. It's Star-Lord. He's an Earthling who's also got the DNA of the Jason alien race, if I'm not mistaken. And
Something
you
like
have,
that, we'll take it as...
You have Drax the Destroyer, who is just an alien. His family was murdered.
He's not an alien. I read it. That's on the Reddit wiki. Read him, and it says that he's actually a human whose family was killed, and then this malevolent force put him in Drax the Destroyer's body.
Okay.
And it's kind of funny because they picked these 5 characters out of probably about 15 different Guardians of the Galaxy. And they're all completely different. And I actually learned another funny thing was that Angelica, who was a major Spawn villain, apparently there was a huge tussle between Image and Marvel won the competition, and now she is actually part of the Guardians of the Galaxy too. So there's and Star-Lord gets kicked out of the Guardians of the Galaxy at one point for lying and getting bugged to manipulate all their minds, but they've chosen these specific characters. You got Rocket Raccoon, you got Groot, you got Star-Lord, Drax the Destroyer. What's the Zoe Saldana's name?
Gamora. Gamora, she's an assassin that is trained by Thanos. Spoiler alert, he's in the mid-credit sequence of the Avengers.
I saw Benicio del Toro in the teaser too.
He's
at the end of
he's
Thor.
the Collector.
Yep.
Which it's a very interesting casting. He's going to be very eclectic.
Are they kind of like an Avengers of the universe?
They're not really the Avengers. Think of them more of like the A-team of the universe.
Yeah, they're the A-team, and they're primary enemies, even though they're kind of anti-heroes, and it's kind of hero fighting hero.
They fight Galactus and stuff.
I mean, one of their big enemies is the Star Corps, which is Marvel's version of the Green Lantern Corps.
Which the Green Lantern Corps is so oversized. I'm not even going to get into it. But
I actually finally watched the Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern.
I did too. I don't even want to talk about
awful.
it.
I love Green Lantern. That was terrible.
He's your favorite superhero, and they shit all over him.
They shit all over him.
Jessica Biel is in that, right?
No, it was, he ends up dating her, like, on the ring.
The blonde chick from Gossip
Oh,
Girl.
yeah, that chick, yeah.
Yeah, that
I was
one.
thinking of something else then.
Not Scarlett Johansson.
Yes, not Scarlett Johansson.
Yes.
But when the Guardians of the Galaxy trailer got released, Matt didn't know anything about it, and I only knew what I had read from hearing updates about the movie.
You showed me one clip
I showed him one clip
of Rocket Raccoon.
which is Rocket Raccoon, which is amazing. He's voiced by Bradley Cooper. But I texted him because he tagged me in a post on Facebook for the trailer, and I just texted him Farscape plus Firefly equals Guardians of the Galaxy.
I loved Firefly, and Farscape was one of my all-time favorite TV shows.
And if you actually look at the Guardians of the Galaxy, there's kind of a correlation between
Very much
Firefly
so.
and how the Guardians are being portrayed in this.
Is
And the
Firefly
aliens
the
in
TV
Farscape.
show or Serenity?
That's both.
It was both.
Yeah.
Well, I know Serenity.
Well, it's the
one of
same
them was the
thing.
movie.
It's the exact same intellectual property. It was just
Yeah.
different stories.
Well, I've only watched the movie. I've never watched the show.
The
so.
show was like 12 episodes, and the movie was the exclamation point on the end of the series because
But here's the thing: in the movie, they had just forgotten about everything that the TV show had done because at the beginning of the movie they find River, and
they
at the
knew
end of the
people wouldn't
movie,
watch the show.
River turns out she's a badass,
Ah.
and it came out like 5 years after the movie. But you can definitely draw a correlation between Star-Lord and him being just a snarky Han Solo-esque douchebag.
I love it.
Captain Mal of Firefly, and you've got your River Tam, which is Gamera, and you have your Heavy,
which is Rocket Raccoon.
It's Drax. Drax is the Heavy, and I'm blanking on the name right now. I'm trying
Drax
to figure
is
it
gonna
out.
be Batista, right?
Yeah, Jane Cobb. Jane Cobb is your Drax,
Oh, okay.
and you've got your Groot and your Rocket, which are two of the greatest characters ever, which is Wash and Zoe. And
I think Zoe Saldana's character.
I consider, she's an assassin. She's just a pure, straight-up badass River Tam for Gamera.
All right.
Gamora, sorry.
So the other day while we were watching these things, Cameron and I were roommates, by the way. But so you end up getting a lot of this like interaction in the household, and so an episode of Iron Chef America came on, and, and you can already tell where this is going. But I've always had this strange fascination with Iron Chef. And Iron Chef America is so stale because it's like battle lobster or like battle beef. And it's just like, all right, like anybody could do that. And then I remember the old Japanese Iron Chef show, which was awesome. If you ever get a chance to watch it, you need to because it's always ridiculous.
It's much
and they
better.
have this really flamboyant guy as like the head guy. And the audio, because it was all in Japanese, they had to dub it. And the dubbing was so terrible. And so...
Squeeze on.
Squeeze on. Yeah, exactly. And one of the funniest things that they did was that they always had the worst ingredients. And so it's not like the ones we get today was like battle kale. It was always like, today's secret ingredient, goat penis! And then, like, my favorite one was the Iron Chef French. He had this mustache, and every time he would just, like, slap his sides, like, what the hell, man? How the fuck am I supposed to make 5 goat penis dishes?
Well, you give yourself a goat penis stew and a goat penis curry.
You can't come up with 5 different ways to make goat penis.
I could. Just give me some time to think about that.
Yeah, you got an hour to do it and cook it all. And so that was Iron Chef. And I used to do, like, it's like, battle a sea urchin. And I didn't even know you could eat those. And in what culture do you think it's a good idea to eat a creature that eats and shits out of the same orifice? Did you know they had mouths on the bottom of sea urchins? They're like a bottom dweller, like a crab. And I only know that because they made them make 5 dishes on Iron Chef. So I came up with this thing. What is the worst possible outcome for your Iron Chef Japan? So I got some ideas. I want to field them off you guys, all right? Today's secret ingredient: a bat cum. Okay, how about this one? All right.
What about it would be bat cum flan? You could make
You
yourself
gotta make the ice cream, right?
Yeah.
Of course, always a dessert.
a bat cum curry. See, they do a lot with curry on that show.
I think we're gonna end up with curry here pretty soon.
I think we are too. I almost did that for dinner the other night.
I knew it.
Cam cum curry.
Okay, how about this? Today's secret ingredient, a wombat face.
Yes, I made a truffle out of the nose of the wombat.
It's like, I really like to exemplify how cute the wombat face is, so I made a wombat souffle in a wombat face bowl. Alright. Today's secret ingredient, a seahorse.
What?
You just drop the seahorse in a pan with some lime and some tequila, and instead of shrimp, you got
Is it still
tequila
living?
lime seahorse. Yeah, of course, everything's living.
Tequila lime seahorse. Actually, you know what? That would be pretty interesting.
You don't have any idea what a seahorse is going to taste like.
Crunchy?
And so I want you to imagine the scene now. Okay, we're in the Iron Chef Stadium, and the cloak over the secret ingredient looks a little strange. Today's a secret ingredient, hobo clothes. And it's when they reveal it, it's actually like a hobo, and you have to wrestle his clothes off of him. Like, it's got a beanie with like a hole in it, and like the gray sweater with a patch on the shoulder. It's ridiculous.
Make yourself a nice little cheese tray from under and toe.
Very nice.
And you eat the cheese with scabs.
It's a nice scab baguette. And of course, in the mashed hobo potatoes, I went ahead and streamed the potato through the hobo sock.
No, the mashed potatoes are made mostly out of hobo dandruff.
Add water to fluff.
Sprinkle with some toenails.
Have you ever seen dried mashed potatoes? That's what it looks like. It looks like hobo dandruff.
It looks like giant dandruff.
Okay.
And water.
So the last thing that I wanted to bring up was that there's a big hubbub over the internet about the casting of a specific Marvel movie, and they said that the Human Torch is going to be a black guy. His name is Michael B. Jordan, and I couldn't care less about this. I say that if they went through the prospects of, he was on House and a couple of other things if you're trying to figure out who he was. Basically, and I did have to IMDb him to figure out who he was, but apparently we've seen him a bunch of times. And I really don't have a problem with it. If they're doing the casting work to try to better the franchises, and they want to do the casting with a black Human Torch and having a white sister, I couldn't care less. If it's going to be a good movie, it's going to be a good movie. And if it's going to be a bad movie, it won't be because Human Torch is black.
See, Human Torch being black didn't bother me either. It was the remainder of the casting that really pissed me off. Kate Mara from House of Cards playing Miss
Fantastic.
the Invisible Woman, Miss Fantastic.
Also from
I'm cool with that.
whatchamacallit?
As long as they don't have the other dude playing Mr. Fantastic.
She was the in Asylum, wasn't it?
I didn't see that.
I don't know.
Yeah, I try to watch American Horror Story, but it never really
American
ends up
Horror
working
Story.
out.
Miles Teller is playing Mr. Fantastic. He's the guy who was in 21 and Over.
So
And
they're
was in that movie,
redoing
That
the Fantastic
Awful
Four?
Yeah, because they're about to lose the rights
Those
to the
are all new
Fantastic
movies, I
Four,
don't
so
know.
they
Also,
need
they have
to,
to make
they need to
another movie.
haul ass off and make another one. And then Jamie Bell is playing The Thing, which it's obviously going to be a lot of motion capture, and he does
Like
have
Hulk.
some experience at motion capture. He was in Tintin. It was either Tintin or the Polar Express. He was in one of the two. Tintin. He was also in Jumper, Billy Elliot. He was the guy who played Billy Elliot in Billy Elliot back in 2000. He was a little 8-year-old at that time. I just don't like the remainder of the casting at all. I don't like the fact that they're making another Fantastic Four. I just don't like it at all. Let the rights lapse. Let Marvel cast it right. Let Disney put it out
No.
and make a ton of money.
I didn't really like any of the first two that they had.
They were garbage. They were the worst piles of shit I've ever seen. You destroyed Fantastic Four, which was like my least favorite of the.
They continued that process of shitty Marvel comic book movies until you had Spider-Man and then all the other movies that
Didn't see
started
any
kicking
Spider-Man
ass.
yet. Yeah.
You know, but those two, I mean, they just fell right in line with all like Dolph Lundgren's He-Man universe, Punisher.
David Hasselhoff playing Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D.
That was awful.
Didn't I say like the Marvel movies are so terrible now that if you go back to the only ones worse than them are the ones where like Captain America has the motorcycle helmet.
Yes.
Oh, where it was a rubber suit.
Yeah,
and he was-
in the
and the
70s.
shield instead of white it was clear.
They could only shoot that movie like 20 minutes at a time because he was going to die of heat stroke. Yeah, that one. It was terrible. But now they're talking about a female Doctor Doom.
Why you gotta fuck with Doctor Doom?
Yeah, Dr. Victor Von Doom. What is it going to be? Vanessa Von Doom?
What would be the problem, though, other than the comic book lore that's always had him as a guy?
You know, that would be
It's
like
gonna be
making
Victoria Von Doom.
It would be like making Mrs. Fantastic.
Is he
or
gonna
the
be a
Invisible
girl?
Man, or the Human Torch being a female, or the Thing being a female. Which, by the way, I've watched some of the Olympic stuff. There's some really hulking bitches on
Nick
there.
Mangold's sister.
Yes.
Yes. But the problem I would see is
Sorry,
that
Nick Mangold's
so
sister.
many times you hear so many people get angry. Oh, it's the same old thing, same old thing. But then when somebody tries something different, we shit on that
Not
too.
when it comes to the comic book movies. If there's anything we never say that to, it's the comic book movies. You never say it's the same old thing. Unless it's terrible, but you want to see the same old. You want to see the adaptations of the things that you read as a child. The scripting is there. The content is there. Just make the goddamn comic books.
Yeah.
But a couple of years ago, they had that Hispanic Spider-Man version.
No problem with that, because that was Spider-Man 2099. He was
They've
Hispanic
also had a
in
black
2099.
Spider-Man. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You can change Spider-Man as many times as you want to.
Miss Marvel is now Arab.
Don't go and ruin an iconic villain by trying to be adventurous with the casting.
I can't even think of anything that Marvel's
Before you've
done
mastered
lately.
the original. I could understand if it was if they decided to make Heath Ledger's Joker female because of Jack Nicholson's role as the Joker. I could understand doing something like that because you don't want to dive into the same well and have the controversy. But the fact that they've never had a good Doctor Doom is that they should try to make a good Doctor Doom and don't cop out. And she could be the best Doctor Doom that could possibly be. But if you're going to make a comic book movie, your core audience is comic book fanboys. And we want you to make the comic book movie.
So you're saying Nip Tuck's Doctor Doom was no good?
I'm saying that might be the worst adaptation of a villain ever, and I saw the Bane in Batman and Robin.
No, I've got a better one. It is Venom from Spider-Man 3.
Yes.
Eric Foreman playing Venom in Spider-Man 3.
Eric Foreman was great as the human person.
Oh, no.
No,
Because
it's not
we
Eddie
know
Brock.
Eddie Brock as being a jacked-up athlete,
Yeah.
badass dude, just kicks Peter Parker's ass because he can. He's not a little sniveling bitch that tries to undercut him with photographs.
Oh, okay.
That really pissed me off, but he kind of just did it just to throw it in there because everybody wanted Venom. Sam Raimi's just an asshole.
Well,
Sam
weren't they
Raimi's
also trying to move towards Spider-Man 4, and then he just said, I'm done with all this?
No, he was only signed for 3. He was only signed for 3 along with Tobey Maguire. But that's another story for another day. So,
Break time! Daddy needs his medicine!
yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to take a break. You're not going to hear very much of a difference, but we're going to take about 10 minutes, and then we'll come right back to you. We'll see you on the other side.
Yeah, we're back from the break. Daddy got his medicine. We're feeling much better. Cam. Darren. How we feeling?
I feel good.
Feeling good, feeling fine. My tail is wagging all the time.
Oh, nice.
I feel like a dog right now.
You are the whitest dude I know.
Where is the bowl?
Yeah, bro. Totally, dude.
Whatever.
My
Yeah.
cuz.
So,
What's up, dog?
Oh.
we
there.
brought this up the last time we were going through. We wanted to do it again. It's my favorite thing. It's the segment that I've kind of been sitting on. Like I said, when I used to be a kid, I used to read the gossip mags on the can, and as an adult now, I just educated to my laptop with TMZ. So the next segment, Gang Beebs. The first topic we have for tonight.
I heard he likes double anal.
Oh, can you really? Yeah, sure. I'm not even gonna. So Jimmy Fallon takes over on the Tonight Show, The Late Show, The Show, Jay Leno Show. So, how's his first week been? We've been watching it. It's been pretty good, I think.
It's been very entertaining. You can definitely tell in the first episode he was trying to play towards the older crowd that loves Jay Leno. I'm married and I got a wife and I have a daughter who's 6 months old. And
Campy.
this is what I stand on. This is my spot. It's a 4-leaf clover. Hey, look at me. I'm kind of normal.
And then he explodes the roof off the fucking joint.
He blew the roof off the joint. It's been a solid 10 out of 10 for me. I don't watch any of the late night stuff.
Until this.
Yeah. No, Jimmy Fallon I watch him every night. Season pass on the DVR.
It's awesome. It is the old school variety show, man. He's got the comedy, he's got the singing, the dancing, he's got the interviews, he gets the celebrities to do dumb shit, just like he did on his old show. But it's on the premium hour, and I think that this guy is the future of like late night comedy. I think Jimmy Kimmel better watch his ass out.
I heard that the U2 segment wasn't that good, though.
U2 performing on the roof was
Sucked.
not very good.
Yeah.
U2 playing acoustic, the
was
song
amazing.
The song from the Mandela movie, Long Walk to Freedom, that's nominated for an Oscar. Doing it acoustically on the couch, it was very good. It was one of
Impromptu
my
on the
favorites.
spot.
Yeah, they pulled the guitars out from behind the couch and just started playing. And
I've never watched really like late night TV. I watched, Colbert, and I watched Jon Stewart and stuff like that. But I was never into Letterman. I was never into Leno unless there was either a hot chick on there, or there was like some kind of like musical interest like Metallica or something that I wanted to watch.
Every episode.
Give me Jay Leno with the Animals, and I'll watch it.
Jack Hanna, great interactions.
Yeah, whenever he had Jack Hanna on, because he'd bring on like a sloth and it would crawl all over Jay Leno's face.
Or a bat that would get in his hair or something,
Yeah.
something crazy would happen. But Jimmy Fallon's show is so cool because every night it's variety hour. And it's the same guy from Saturday Night Live as an adult, and he's got a great comic sense. If he wasn't a late night show host, I think he could really be like a movie star or a great comedian.
They tried that. Taxi was horrible.
Yeah, but that was a crap movie with Queen Latifah. It was designed to just be like a, hey, Netflix rental.
I did like Fever Pitch, though. Even though it involved the Red Sox, the bane of my existence, I will admit the Rays sucked in 2004. My grandfather's a Red Sox fan. He was scouted to pitch for them back in the 50s. And, it was... I rooted for the Red Sox in 2004 just for the fact that he had never seen a championship in his life.
Yeah.
But Fever Pitch was very good with Drew Barrymore.
I think the fact that as they were filming it,
Damn right.
I think as they were filming it, and the fact that they were slowly progressing and eventually won helped that movie. Because if they didn't do that year, and they were just like a team, like every other year, they won and done, or made it to the ALCS and lost again.
He becomes a Yankees fan.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been as great a movie. But I think the fact that they had that ending, that awesome ending of, oh wow, the Red Sox finally win in 86 years, and he gets the chick, makes the movie.
Yeah, exactly, because the history behind it. And, Jimmy Fallon takes that childlike, the history, everything that you can think of possibly when it comes to anything relevant. This makes no sense at all, but Jimmy Fallon's the man.
I think he's an awesome talent, and I really can't. I think it's the regular Netflix or regular TiVo thing for us.
I think the best thing for him, as we were saying earlier, was that he has a built-in fan base. He has a built-in people that know who he is before he ever stepped foot on the set. Whereas Conan, when he took over, unless you watched his show, you didn't know who he was.
Everybody knows who Conan is. He's that crappy show host.
Yeah, you kind of knew.
Occasionally has funny moments with his goofy.
I wouldn't say crappy. But
sucks.
Conan is, and I said it earlier, he's like that indie comedy.
No.
He's that guy that you either love or you hate. He's kind of the Dane Cook of late night.
Hate his face.
You kind of knew that he existed. You knew that he had a show. He used to be on The Simpsons and stuff like that. But you didn't really have all that stuff. Like, you have Jimmy Fallon. You had multiple years of him being on SNL, and then he was hosting like the weekly night show, whatever, with Tina Fey.
Mm-hmm.
So he had a huge exposure to the mainstream public. So him coming in, a lot of people knew who Jimmy Fallon was more than Conan.
Then how do you explain guys like Jimmy Kimmel?
But see, he was also mainstream as well because he was on Fox with NFL Sunday.
Yes.
For at least a couple of years.
Fox almost gave him a show until ABC said, hey, here's more money.
And here's a night show.
Yeah. And then Fox tried the late night with Spike Farazan, or whatever his name was, guy with the glasses, really twerpy-looking douchebag.
I don't even remember that.
Yeah, it was on for like 6-8 months. And, Yeah, it failed
the king
miserably.
of obscure TV shows.
I
I've never even fucking heard of that show.
Late Night with Spike Farazan. Yeah, it came on at like 11 o'clock, right after the Fox 10 o'clock news went off the air.
Fox has got to be the only mainstream TV channel that doesn't have like a late night show. Because you have, obviously, Letterman, and then now you got Jimmy Fallon.
Well, they tried Wanda Sykes in that role like a year and a half ago, and then Wanda said, I'm gay, and everybody just kind of turned off because that's Fox and that's their agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Wanda Sykes, I mean, she's if you didn't know, Wanda Sykes is actually the creative talent behind a lot of Chris Rock's material. Chris Rock's primary writer for a long time was Wanda Sykes. And Chris was really respectful to her, and he gave her pretty much the boost to her career to kind of get out there. Because he knew, because I like the comedians from that, like, I call it the golden era because that's the era I grew up in. But that era with, like, Adam Sandler and Chris Rock and on SNL, and those guys really are respectful to their roots and to the people that did them right, and they always do the right thing. But not doing the right thing is kind of the motif of this Olympics. So, there are a bunch of catastrophic injuries going on right now in the Olympics, and we've got this really just like career-ending, crippling mistakes that are going on. What's the problem in Sochi? I know it is. Do you?
Yes, it's the weather.
Oh!
The weather in Sochi. Winter Olympics, and it's 55 degrees outside.
I would also say that it's proximity to like the terrorism capital of the world.
Well, we went ahead and we were watching the downhill alpine skiing last week at some point, and the track was great when you were 2,000 miles above sea level, when it was kind of colder up there. But once you hit this one curve when you were about, 300 feet above sea level, the ice was slush. The snow was slush.
Because it's 54 degrees outside. But unfortunately, sir, and you, sir,
yes,
you are both mistaken. The reason for the catastrophic injuries is not the weather, is not terrorism threats. It's the stray puppies that all the athletes are trying to adopt. It's the distraction of all these cute puppies around, and I just want to bring them home with me. And what's going to happen is that it's Russia's master plan. They've got all these cute puppies around, and go with me on this, they have all these cute puppies around so that these athletes of the other nations will see these cute puppies and say, I want to adopt this puppy, and then the care of an animal and the financial burden will cause them to not be able to compete in the Olympics.
Well, there's the snowboarder that posted the 4 pictures on Instagram with all the stray puppies.
Never to be heard of again.
No, and had them all adopted and paid. He paid himself to get all the dogs shipped over to the United States. All these people who wanted to adopt them.
Talking about dogs, Miley Cyrus. Does anybody even find her remotely bangable anymore?
in a weird sense, yes, just for the bangability factor of who she is.
Give me brunette Miley Cyrus all day. But blonde, impish, wrecking ball, whatever the fuck she's doing right now, Miley Cyrus, hell no.
I find her to be grotesque and riddled with herpes. And talking about grotesque and riddled with herpes is the idea that anyone was surprised that Ellen Page comes out of the closet. Does everybody kind of already knew? Be like, oh yeah, she's gay, fantastic, good for you to come out. It's a brave thing in its statement, like everything like that, but everybody already knew, really. And I knew at pantsuits, beige pantsuits. When did you know Ellen Page was gay?
When she was sculpting Leonardo DiCaprio's dreams in Inception, and there was a lot of scissors.
I was thinking more of Juno.
She seemed like she was severely disinterested in Michael Cera.
Yeah. I mean, just like...
he's extremely unattractive,
she had that whole, like, you know...
Skeleton-like?
I'm having a kid, but I don't have a man in my life while I'm doing it.
Talking about not having a man in your life? The pastor for the Snake Salvation TV show was recently bitten by a venomous snake and therefore died when he refused medical treatment for said snake bite, because God does not say that if you are a sinner in your heart, you will be saved from the toxins of venomous snakes, and he died. So, what do you think about that?
Rednecks.
I mean, it's just like on Justified. You watch Justified?
No, I haven't. Is it good?
Yeah.
Justified in itself is awesome.
Is that the one that has the terrible Agent 47 from Hitman? The one who's married to Fergie? Who
Yes,
himself?
it's basically...
Is that Timothy Oliphant? Or
Yes.
is that...
Timothy Oliphant.
It's
It's not the
basically...
same guy. That's Josh Duhamel, isn't it?
No.
Yeah, Josh Duhamel is married to Fergie. I'm sorry.
Yes,
I
he's
screwed
married to
that one up.
Fergie.
It's
But
like the same dude.
Yeah,
Timothy Oliphant is basically Justified is Deadwood and 100 years. It's the same kind of premise. He's a sheriff.
Like
he's
a modern day Deadwood?
Yeah, it's like modern day Deadwood. And one of the episodes was that you had like this Christian guy come in, and he wouldn't accept any kind of money or nothing like that, but he would play with like the snakes and stuff like that. And if it like he would do whatever, and it wouldn't bite him, and oh yeah, praise Jesus, Allah. Finally,
He's been bitten a bunch of times. He's missing fingers and shit.
Yes, but eventually he does get bitten, doesn't seek medical attention, and winds up dying. And then they attribute it to, well, that's what God wanted and everything.
He was a sinner in his heart. That's the rule.
And
what
unfortunately,
do you think about
Justified walking tall?
No, I
No, that was
No.
that was Buford Pusser, and that was you know what?
he's a marshal for the United States, and like he kind of like stays in Kentucky most of the time, but he can go anywhere in the country. And last season they were fighting like the Detroit mob, and then now he's fighting the Crows, which are like kind of like related to the Crowders, which is like a big kind of like drug kingpin group in Kentucky where he's from. And they had his father in there, and eventually his father died and stuff like that. But his father was always like an evil kind of dude, and he's always a lawman. So you had that kind of dynamic of he's good, his father's evil.
Sounds interesting. Do you know what's more interesting?
No.
Chris Kattan has a major drinking problem, so much so that he crashed his Mercedes and got a DUI. Another DUI. What show was Chris Kattan recently kicked off of?
Well, I'm feeling like Mr. Peepers right now. I'm going to guess that he was kicked off of Community.
Negative. Darren?
And the last thing I knew he was on was Saturday Night Live, so I didn't even know he was on a new show.
The show that Chris Kattan was kicked off of features two of the biggest douches that I could possibly think of.
Two Broke Girls.
Negative, sir. Rachel Ray versus Guy Celebrity Cook-Off. Yeah.
That's a show?
Nobody even knew that existed.
And why would he be a part of it?
Because they're looking for anybody that'll accept anyone that needs money, so Chris Kattan's going to be there.
Like the celebrities with air quotes on Iron Chef America.
Their first season had like Lou Diamond Phillips and Coolio, so you can get an idea for what the show is.
Yeah, welcome to the 90s.
Here's another question for you. What skanky horodactyl is having another hellspawn?
Kardashian?
No, sir. Cameron.
Well, it's not Lindsay Lohan, because she hasn't had a hellspawn yet.
Think of the worst epicenter of evil.
Oh, Christ.
The lowest form of low.
Oh, God.
Your time is up. Snooki wants smush smush.
Oh, fuck.
Snooki is having a baby.
Another little meatball.
Talking about hideous beasts that you don't want to see on screen.
Listen.
Katherine Heigl has been blackballed from Hollywood and needs funding for a new movie. Does anybody care to take a reference as to why she was kicked out of Hollywood? It's a two-part answer. You can get bonus points for answering at least one of them.
Could it be what to expect when you're expecting?
No, sir.
I would think it was because she was just an overall cunt.
For many reasons, yes, and it preludes to the correct answers. It's when she went super bitchadactyl and got kicked off. She left Grey's Anatomy, which was a cash cow, and she slammed Judd Apatow in public.
Yeah, fists up.
That's retarded.
And the final thing for for Gang Beebs is what do these celebrities all have in common? Jamie Presley, Charles Barkley, Misha Barton, Sally Struthers, Haley Joel Osment, Khloe Kardashian, Taboo from the Black Eyed Peas, and Sean King from the Buccaneers.
They got fat, and then they got skinny, and then they joined Scientology.
Negative.
Black cock.
Dark. Why you gotta go there?
That's where I go.
Way to go. It's DUIs, by the way.
Oh, yeah, Sean King did get that DUI.
I did not remember.
The winner is me.
Happy Black History Month.
Time to move on to the best segment on the show. Cameron.
You know, it's time. It's time for Yeah, Jeets.
Yeah, Jeets.
And so, right now, the current big story going on is the NFL Scouting Combine. The Underwear Olympics, as they like to call it. 40-yard dashes, shuttle cones, all that good stuff.
Spandex, Under Armour.
So what I did is I went ahead and I took some notes.
Oh.
Today was the offensive linemen, the tight ends, and the kickers.
And this poor son of a bitch watched the whole thing.
I did 8 hours of it. I wanted to fucking kill myself. Kickers, who cares about kickers? Offensive line. It's fun to see big guys run. I will say that. And the majority of them, right around 5 seconds to do 40-yard dash.
But let me ask you this. When do you ever see an offensive lineman do anything close to a 40-yard dash?
Aha.
It's not that drill.
So, when it comes to the 40-yard dash, the majority of the time, and for those of y'all listening, I'm actually holding up a legal pad, and I took the 40-yard dash times, and I also took the 10-yard splits, which judges the explosiveness off the line, which that's what you judge an offensive lineman by.
Of course.
And when you're looking at it, the most explosive offensive lineman is Matt Patchin from Boston College. He ran a 1.59 10-yard split, which means he's explosive. However, 6 years in the NCAA, multiple injuries. He's just kind of a guy you want to root for. And when it comes to the slowest, you're looking at a guy out of Stanford. He ran a 1.81 10-yard split and a 5.5 40. 5.5 40, I could clear that hopping on one leg. Anybody got any thoughts?
I want to see you do that. Actually.
You know what? I'll do it.
How does that pertain, though, to being on the field and blocking for running or for passing play?
It's a statistical drill in which the coaches can evaluate the talent or the ability to be able to do that, in addition to the game footage they already have.
See, the initial 10 yards are very important to set up the screen game.
Yeah.
To set up a multitude of other things. When you're pulling to block for a run play, you're going from dead stop, and you have to be at the dead stop for 3 seconds before you take off on your 40. So that simulates the cadence, or the Omahas for Peyton Manning.
Omaha!
But
there's one other thing that's really important with the Combine, too. The part that you don't get to see is the part where the teams interview their prospective talents.
Oh, I would love to see that.
That's a make-or-break situation.
I would pay to see that. I want to see Johnny Football asked about if he really took money for doing for doing autographs, or I want to see them talk to Michael Sam, which we'll cover a little bit later, and see what his mindset was in coming out of the closet. And I want to see the Wonderlic results. I don't want to see him 4 months from now after the draft is already done. I want to see their aptitude test the second that it's done. I want to refresh on NFL.com, and I want to see that Teddy Bridgewater scored a 24 out of 50 on the Wonderlic.
Yep.
There are very important things that go on during the Combine that just aren't these exercises. These exercises are the opportunity to show that you show extreme physical talent in an area. It's actually kind of a make-or-break situation, because if you really screw it up, you actually do affect your draft status. And the interviews are the most important part, I feel, of that. So you're using those two conjunctures, you're basically taking a gambling risk. And you have to go if you're top talent if you want to go in the top 3 rounds. Okay, and even other guys who aren't going to go top 3 rounds are in that thing because they want to improve their draft stake. That's the gamble. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go on these interviews. I'm going to go do this Combine. It's a huge stress situation so that these guys get to see how I react under this pressure. And I'm getting an opportunity to either make or break my career and add dollars to my pocket, or lose a huge sum of money by either persevering or just falling flat.
Some of those guys, though, know that they might not perform well in that situation and don't do that, and then they do a private workouts Because it's controlled, because they know, all right, well, that's the guy I've been throwing passes to for the last 3-4 years, so I know I can go, throw it over that way,
pro days.
He's going to get there. Yeah,
but a pro day is not the combine. A pro day can go swimmingly well, but if you did terrible at the combine, it's still going to reflect.
Well, some guys don't go into the pro day. I mean, they just do the pro day and not the combine at all.
See, there were 55 offensive linemen brought to the combine by the NFL. 10 of them chose not to participate in the 40, whether it be they're out of shape, they have injuries, anything like that. What you're talking about is like Johnny Manziel.
Yeah.
Johnny Manziel isn't even going to throw at Texas A&M's pro day. He's not throwing at the combine. He's not throwing at Texas A&M's pro day. He's having a pro day after Texas A&M's day so people can come and watch him. He's going to throw to his own people, and the reason why he's not even throwing at Texas A&M's pro day is because his brother or his cousin is having his 21st birthday party the night before. So he's going to go out and get rip-roaring drunk with him.
I think that shows incredible...
And it's not going to affect his performance.
I think that shows incredible aptitude on his agent's part by telling him not to participate because he's going to show up late, show up hungover. So you know what? Just tell everybody what it is. It's your brother's birthday, and you're going to go out and you're going to go celebrate with him because it's your brother's birthday, and you're going to make it up to them later.
Yeah. But you know that, it's his 21st birthday, whatever. This is your career. This is what you're going to be doing, hopefully, for the next 10 to 15 years. Wouldn't you say, I'm maybe not going to party this night so that I can give forth my best effort?
You're also the most speculated quarterback in this draft.
Yes. Nobody's talking about Teddy Bridgewater. Nobody's talking about Blake Bortles. Nobody is talking about the guys that they're talking about the way they're talking about Johnny Manziel. And
that's only because of his size.
It's not his size. It's the fact that
his aptitudes. You know what? Johnny Manziel has this really interesting ability to be able to handle pressure, to be able to play in big games. You know what? Maybe you don't like his personality. You know who else's personality you didn't like coming out of college? Cam Newton, and he's doing pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
Johnny Manziel is the New York Yankees of college football. You either love him or you hate him.
I don't like him at all, but I recognize talent when I see it.
I hate him with a fiery passion, but you know what? If there's a number 2 Buccaneers Johnny Manziel jersey going on sale next year, you bet your ass I'm buying it.
You know who else went into the draft like a dick? Eli Manning.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. Oh, hey, I'm not going to play in San Diego, but you have
to take, said that. His
you have to take me number 1 overall, but I'm not going to play for you, so you better fucking trade me. Yeah. Fuck you, Eli Manning. You're a fucking asshole.
At the end of the day, though, you can't say it hasn't worked out in his favor.
It's worked out for both sides. Of course it did,
but that's what I'm saying, is that you can't discount Johnny Manziel on something that would be occurring on the off-season.
True, but...
And guys mature. And guys who are offered the extreme opportunity to walk into a club. Take a guy like Lovie Smith. Lovie Smith sits a guy like that down, and he's done his whole career, looks him in the eyes, and with a plain, clear voice says, "This is your opportunity. You have 2 years to prove to me that you deserve to be the starting quarterback, or you're out of a job. You have a choice. You can either continue your lifestyle as it is, or you can decide to be an NFL starting quarterback. This decision is up to you. I hope you make the right one."
And the prime example is Vince Young, because about 8 years ago, Houston Texans had the first pick, and they had a choice between either Vince Young, a franchise potential quarterback,
right,
or anybody else they wanted to pick.
Mario Williams, or
Reggie Bush. And they decided not to go with Vince Young. He was a hometown team. He played for Texas. Manziel plays for Texas A&M.
Right.
Houston had the first pick like they do now, and they have decided not to go with Vince Young.
He's still going to get drafted.
He's still going to get drafted.
He's going to be drafted in the top 10.
So if you're a college kid and you're out there having fun and you're in the last dying days of your ability to go out and be a complete jackass, would you A, go to your pro day and show up like a jackass, or B, take the high road, say that you're going to go get drunk, and you're going to make it up to everybody, and you're still going to get drafted? Doesn't matter if you go 1, doesn't matter if you go 2, because you still get your chance.
See, here's the important thing, is that Manziel showed up to the Combine to do the interviews, do the Wonderlic. Johnny Manziel could elect not to throw at all between now and the draft, and he'll still be drafted in the top 10.
Watch the game footage.
Because if Manziel makes it past number 4, Cleveland, there's no way he makes it past the Bucs at number 7.
But you can say the same thing about Vince Young.
Another one.
a couple of years ago, you could say, all right, well, he would have gotten picked by Houston. I think he would have been more successful if he got picked by Houston than going to Tennessee.
I don't think that at all.
No, not at all.
I think he had an absolutely perfect opportunity at Tennessee to become the starting quarterback that he could have been, and I think that he truly just didn't work out.
It was 2006. They were 3 years into David Carr in Houston, who they used the number 1 overall pick on, coming out of Fresno State. You're not going to cut bait on a guy that you gave 6 years and $30 million or whatever.
And he wasn't doing that at the time.
Who was going to take 5 years and $40 million. The best thing that happened to the NFL is the rookie wage scale. That's another conversation for another day, though.
That's why more quarterbacks get taken in the first round now, because there's not as much risk.
Mario Williams was the safest pick there.
Definitely. He
was the safest pick. And Reggie Bush didn't pan out over his first 4 or 5 years.
He didn't work out at all.
He didn't work out until he got down to Miami, and he actually showed he could be the number 1 back in the system. And now he's up in Detroit, just thriving. I mean, Dwight Bell's getting all of his touchdowns, but Reggie Bush is sitting there as a very key part of that offense.
Yeah, but in the NFL, it doesn't matter about your touchdowns. It matters about your ability to get paid. Yeah. And he's doing his job in Detroit to do what he needs to do.
Mario Williams is the safest pick there, and I don't even know who's going to be number 1 overall. I mean, you look at what Houston
who should have been number 1 overall?
Clowney.
Jadeveon Clowney really screwed it up this year, and if he doesn't show up huge in the combine, he's going to be making a serious mistake. We shouldn't even be having the conversation of who's going number 1 because it should be Jadeveon Clowney. And I think this whole last season he's gone around and screwed it all up. And that he should definitively be the number 1 choice, and he's not. And I think it's just because he's afraid because of the Lattimore touches, like you said the other day, where he had his leg blown out twice. And I just really think this shouldn't even be a conversation. And I think this guy, if he wants to be a potential talent in the NFL, needs to come out right now in this combine and really prove that he's the best definitive athlete.
Jadeveon Clowney, if he does not go number 1, he will go number 2. And let me just throw a couple of stats at you. I'm reading off a paper, so it's going to sound a little weird. Jadeveon Clowney, 6'5" and a quarter, 266 pounds, and an 83-inch wingspan.
So that's
it's freakish.
There's a guy who has similar stats.
Javon Curse, 6'5", 262, and an 86-inch wingspan.
I like Clowney because he has that natural athleticism, and he's kind of got that nice burst speed. He's everything you kind of really look for when you're trying to develop defensive talent, especially on that line, which is increasingly more important in the NFL. And I just think that it shouldn't be a conversation as to who's going number 1 because it has to be him. And he has these intangibles that he should be able to exemplify, but he's not exemplifying them. And I think that you can be a guy on a team, but the guy that teams look at when they look at Jadeveon Clowney is they want that leader, and I don't think he's that leader.
Yeah, that's why you've got to send him to a team that already has a defined leader,
like Carolina to replace Greg Hardy.
And you know what? I'm going to go out on a limb here. He's going to go number 2 to St. Louis. I know St. Louis already has Chris Long and Robert Quinn playing defensive end.
So many other things in that team.
But you cannot pass up on a guy like Jadeveon Clowney, especially when Jeff Fisher reached on a guy like Javon Curse when he was the coach of the Tennessee Titans. Yes, there's air quotes there. When Jeff Fisher reached on Javon Curse.
Just because it worked once doesn't mean it's going to work again.
But here's the thing, is that Jadeveon Clowney is a much better athlete than Javon Curse was.
But that's if you believe that he's only kind of tapered off because he was afraid of injury.
Oh, I absolutely buy that. I buy that just because of Marcus Lattimore.
True.
He saw it. It was in his locker room. He saw a guy who ended up going to college for 5 years because in year 3, when he could have come out of the draft, he could have come out and he could have gone in the first round, ends up coming back and gets his knee destroyed. And then he sees the guy come back again, fighting back from that injury to get his knee destroyed again.
Guess what? That guy has that problem his whole career. You don't just get that problem for just college.
No, actually, these were freak injuries in college. These were like knees,
No.
straight
I'm saying that the
helmet straight
impact
the knees
on
and-
that player is going to last his entire career.
Well, yeah.
If he's skittish now, he's going to be skittish later. He's going to be skittish later on. I don't think, with the Rams being in the position that they are, needing as much as they are, I think they have to take offensive line. I don't think there's any other thing around it. I think a guy like Jake Matthews or some of the other guys who really showed up. You had a guy.
Don't even start me on Jake Matthews. I'm so over hearing about him and the bloodline. The numbers speak for themselves. I mean, if you're going to look at anybody in the first round, if you're the St. Louis Rams at offensive tackle,
You talked me into this.
Taylor Lewin from Michigan. All right, he's 6'7", almost 6'8".
Protecting a shit quarterback.
Yes, protecting a mobile quarterback even. Taylor Lewin in his 240s ran a 1.7 and a 1.64 10-yard split. That's incredible explosiveness for being 6'8" and being 315, 320 pounds, whatever he is. Couple that with a 4.8 540, which was tied for one of the fastest at the combine. If he would have come out last year, he would have been the fourth lineman taken off the board behind Luke Jokel, Eric Fisher, and the kid who went to Oklahoma. I don't remember his name. He would have been the fourth one. He elected to go back to college so that he could be one of the top draft picks. And right now it's a 3-horse race between Taylor Lewin,
Jake Matthews,
and forget the kid out of Auburn, Greg Robinson. And a lot of people are saying that Robinson's the best overall lineman. I think you're going to get
really
15 years out of Taylor Lewin. I think you'll get 10 years out of Greg Robinson.
Well, you showed me that footage between when they went back on the recap of how that offensive line trio worked out. I kind of agreed with you on that. That I still think that Jake Matthews is going to be a very good position player. But I really like the intangible factors, especially in the performance of the combine, and that's why the combine's so important. Is because it gets you see guys that you normally wouldn't pick out of a crowd. You're looking at the national champions. You're looking at the guys who were in the bowl games, but what you're not looking at is the individual talent that exists on these college squads. That's why it's so important when you play like fantasy football or you're doing these things like this last year. I made a pretty good trade to grab up Eddie Lacy. And everybody kind of thought I was psychopath because I traded Miles Austin to go get him. They knew that Miles Austin wasn't going to work out, but Eddie Lacy ended up being the epicenter of my offensive
rookie of the year, if I'm not mistaken.
And it was because I watch college football, and I was upset when the Steelers they passed over him
three times.
A few times, yeah. They passed over him, and they picked up,
Jarvis Jones from Georgia.
No, that's not even...
the kid out of Michigan State, the one who fucked me big time this year.
I told you not to.
I don't remember his name.
I
picked him up off the way.
He's a running back.
Running back from Michigan State.
It was like... it starts with like an L, I think.
Yeah.
Like Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, Le'Veon Bell, yeah.
Yeah, so I passed over a bunch of rookie talent. Like you had Gio Bernard, but my target secretly the whole year was Eddie Lacy, and I picked him up early on, and he ended up being that second running back position. So it's really important to pay attention to these times, especially when you see other talent popping up. You know, if you're running fantasy teams or if you're doing other things where it requires you to be in depth with your knowledge of football, you're really doing yourself a disservice for the next few. Like me, I'm a champion in fantasy football, and we're in a 2-year-old league or a 3-year-old league now. And Darren, you've been in the league the entire time. Cameron's been in the league the entire time. Actually, when I started the league, Cameron was the first person that I actually recruited to the league. And you're not looking at your chances of winning. Every guy who's never won a championship is looking at how they win the next year. Every guy who has won a championship, like me, is looking at how can I make sure that I win a championship in the next 5 years. And when you're doing that, you need to look at the combine, you need to look at the draft, you need to do your homework, you need to watch college football so you can see these guys popping up. When I talk about Johnny Manziel, when I talk about Jake Matthews in that format, I'm looking at guys that I'm thinking of, these guys could make a really big difference on my football team in the future. You know, you don't draft offensive linemen, but you look at offensive linemen to look at the productivity of your quarterback. That's why guys like Drew Brees, Tom Brady are always so good.
But his offensive line for the Rams going to help them get over the Niners and the Seahawks. In
Yes.
It can, if Sam Bradford stops getting his bell rung, it can.
Yes.
But he's been having that problem since college.
Franchise.
Yeah, he just keeps getting his bell rung. The problem is that Sam Bradford keeps getting touched. You need to stop him from getting hit, and he can make the throws you need him to make.
See, they tried signing Jake Long last season from Miami to play left tackle.
Yeah.
And when Bradford went down, Jake Long went down within a game or two of him. So, if you can keep Bradford upright and you can keep him from tearing his ACL, busting up his shoulder, whatever, and you can get that left tackle that will anchor your team in run and pass, you have the running back, Zach Stacy. You have some offensive weapons in Tavon Austin and Stedman Bailey and Jared
Young
Cook at
talent
tight
that are
end.
gonna mature.
You've got some incredible talent there to go along with that defense, which is it's lights out.
What is when you're looking at your quarterback? What is the single most important thing to that quarterback that he needs to be elite?
Staying upright.
Tight end.
He needs left offensive line position. Where's his back? His back is to the guy who's running to kill him. Okay, outside linebacker, middle linebacker, the pass rushing defensive end, the pass rushing defensive tackle. If there's a two set, you're looking at the left offensive line, and a guy like Jake Matthews can be cultivated into a position where he can protect that left position. So you're looking at guys that you really want to protect your quarterback. The key to having a successful quarterback, you can run a serviceable quarterback. I.e. Tampa Bay when they won their title, he was a serviceable quarterback. He was not elite,
Brad
just
Johnson
like
was
Joe
not flashy.
Flacco.
No.
Serviceable quarterback, not elite. Trent
Ravens.
Dilfer, serviceable quarterback, not elite. Why did they succeed? Because they had the protection on their left side. Right side is pass rush, right side is run defense, left side is pass defense.
Yep, especially when something like 74% of the quarterbacks in the NFL are righties. There's not that many lefties in the
I would
NFL.
think it's more than that, isn't it?
No. There's a good amount of lefties.
You got Michael Vick, and off the top of my head, I can't tell you
I think
anybody
Nick
else.
Foles is a lefty.
No,
Is
he's
Alex
right-handed.
Smith a lefty?
Alex Smith is a lefty.
No, he's not.
No?
No, he's right-handed.
Okay, then the majority of them are righties.
Yeah.
I apologize for
You
that.
got Michael Vick. And
That's why that left protection is so
I
important.
can't tell you anybody else that's
And
left-handed.
you know what? For an offense like the Rams, yes, I would like for Taylor Lewin to be the first offensive lineman off the board. Greg Robinson fits them best because he went to Auburn. They were a primary run-first offense this year.
They've already clearly said that they don't intend to get rid of Sam Bradford. So they're not going quarterback with their choice.
Yeah, so they're going to go offensive line or they're going to
They
go skill
need to
position.
go offensive lineman. If they take a defensive player, they're making a serious mistake.
Then they should trade back from number 2, preferably to number 7. Have the Bucks go ahead and package together the number 7 and their second round pick, move up to number 2, get Johnny Manziel when he's not taken by the Texans.
Don't
And we
forget,
sell a
though,
bunch of uniforms.
the Rams also have an extra pick in the first round because of the Robert Griffin trade.
That's why they have number 2 overall.
Exactly. So they can, mix and match what they might need. They, like the Vikings a couple years ago, have 2 or 3 picks in the first round and kind of stack themselves up for the coming years. Vikings didn't succeed so much, but
The Vikings picks were stupid.
But the Vikings have had terrible offensive coaching.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
I mean, with being in Tampa Bay, we know we got Leslie Frazier in. I actually am pretty comfortable with this because I trust his defensive capabilities. There are guys in that Minnesota defense that should not have been stars that excelled purely because he is a good coach. Him combined with Lovie Smith, making a judgment call based on the mistakes of his past, goes and gets Jeff Tedford to choose his quarterback.
Yep.
That is his project. If you don't think for 10 seconds that Jeff Tedford isn't the idea behind their offense, you are seriously mistaken. A guy doesn't take a whole year off and sit in his basement and watch the current season going on as he should be on the coaching field, commanding his team to do what they want, and think he doesn't come back with serious changes. Some of the greatest coaches of all time have come back from a miserable season and won Super Bowls, and I think that's what Lovie Smith intends to do.
And you don't bring that guy in if you're not possibly thinking you're bringing in someone that can contend with Mike Lennon.
Yes, because there's no free agent quarterbacks that actually fit a Tedford offense.
How many guys are going to slip to the second round where the Bucks can easily take their pick of the pot?
Oh,
Yeah.
easily. Zach Mettenberger, Aaron Murray.
Yep.
You know what?
I like Aaron Murray.
I'll even say grab Jimmy Garoppolo in the second round. I keep harping on that name, but Sunday, this episode will be up tonight online. Sunday, the quarterbacks go in the NFL Combine. You watch Jimmy Garoppolo. He started off as a 6th or 7th round pick. He played well at the Shrine Bowl. He played well at the Senior Bowl. He's going to be a guy that's going to shoot up draft boards.
Yes.
He's got everything that you need in a quarterback.
Here's something you need to pay attention to, and it's something that I've learned throughout my fantasy championship and a couple of other things. Right now, I'm flanked by the 2 guys that helped me win my title. When I was in my biggest decision phase in the playoffs, I leaned on the opinions of the 2 guys that were not with me in the title. I beat Darren to get in.
Sorry, Mikey.
And I beat Mikey in the final.
Mr. Tampon.
96.34, bitch.
You are so terrible to us. So when you're looking for advice on guys who are coming up or like dark horses, Cameron is always a really good source to try to figure out who your dark horses are going to be. Cameron is a guy who picked out Jordan Cameron this year.
Yep.
Before anybody was talking about him, that was his number 1 target. He had an idea, and it kind of came to fruition. When I'm looking at kind of like a position where I'm thinking outside of the box, sometimes it's hit, sometimes it's miss. But more often than not, it's more or less hit.
He's tried to trade me guys in the past, and I was like, I don't know anything about this guy. I don't want him. And then
When I'll tell you to take the trade,
and you'll tell me to take it, and I'll be like, no, I'm going to stay with what I got, and then I don't take it, and then it would have worked out in my favor if I actually would have made the trade.
yeah, and I think that, but Cam gets into his own head sometimes, and he'll overthink something, and that's a mistake with guys who are really super analytical. So when you're seeing guys popping up, and Cameron says, "Hey, you need to stop and pay attention," you should probably sit down and listen for a second.
Yeah, about 90% of the time, he's been right.
Yeah.
By the time that I'm looking for these dark horses, I am so far out of it, you have no idea.
When you go into the statistic dead zone, it's just like he has 157 passing yards with 3 touchdowns to 4 different receivers.
Or as I like to call it, the first 2 episodes of Media Rehab.
So, but that's the thing is that while some people service other functions, you service this intangible value of being able to pick the diamond from the rough.
Keenan Allen.
Yes.
I get lucky.
Keenan Allen this year saved my season and allowed me to knock Darren out of the playoffs.
Yes. Without that, I might have been able to sneak in.
I was on vacation this year. I didn't give a shit. I had my
You had the Super Bowl proverbial hangover.
Yeah, I didn't give a shit. I won.
Everybody does it. I mean, everybody does it. It doesn't matter.
No.
My fantasy career is not validated until I get a championship, the way that Matt has a championship, the way that
Swanson has a championship.
Matt Swanson has a championship,
The way that my
Papa
old man-
Townsend has a championship. I am not complete until I win one. That gnome must come back here.
The gnome must come home. So, I kind of slacked off this year. I stopped writing my articles. We run a fantasy football website.
We noticed.
And I didn't give a shit, man. I wasn't in it. I didn't care. I already won my title. I got nothing to prove. And then through this off season, the thing about winning a title is you have to be hungry. You have to want to win the title. It has to be your only goal. And when I was doing that, I had all the time in the world to devote to the championship, and that's, I think, truly, I have one of the best records in our league history as far as win-losses.
He does. He's actually
I still think I'm still
leader.
number 1.
You are the wins leader.
I would say it's
one or
probably
two.
me, you, Cameron, and Michael.
Swanson's
up there, but he had a miserable
Swanson's in
4-10 first season.
Was he in the first
one?
year?
No, he wasn't.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I wouldn't include him. Mike Bell was, right?
If you count the last 2 seasons, because we've had consistency over the last 2 years, Swanson's up there.
Yeah.
I think Andy Walrus has some ability if he'd stop fucking drafting lines like a bitch and hoarding running backs like a stupid bitch.
Oh, hey, let me trade you DeMarco Murray for A.J. Green and Dez Bryant. You can suck my dick.
Get a clue, you fat jackass! So, I think that if you really like football and if you haven't started playing fantasy football and you're really thinking about it, get a group of guys that you really like to hang out with, like Cam and Darren are two of my best friends in the world. And I have my old man in the league and my cousins in the league, and so I started this league, and I just gathered all the people that I really like to hang out with and bullshit, and then we took all restrictions off of shit talk. So you can say anything you want to say to these dudes, and in the guise of fantasy football, it's love and war. There are no rules.
No rules.
So, what does that say?
Do we have an opening in the league this year? Because I know it's been hard to field a team of 8.
Yeah.
Or are we going to go up to 10?
Here's the thing, is that the teams we have now are very good teams. They're different teams. You're playing with your team. If we go up to 10, we have to drop our roster sizes.
Yeah.
And that's going to play into where, like, the super hard positions to fill, like DB2,
Running back,
DL1, or RB2. You know, these are these positions that are really hard to fill, and I think they make the game challenging. Plus, I really like the group of guys that we have now. There's some things that I would like to see change, like running back hoarding, being a fat jackass, having a last name that sounds like Walrus, stuff like that.
Well, bringing that up, he's not really enthused about the whole auction draft part of it. So
well,
I don't
he's
know
a
if
pussy.
Well, we already know that, but, you know, that comes with being 400 pounds. But, you know...
He's eating Greek yogurt, man.
It still makes you 400
Stand
pounds.
on
You're slowly going to get down lower than that, but right now you're not. But he wasn't
It's
really
not a
enthused.
diet if you eat 5,000 blueberries.
Hey,
Yes.
here's the thing. He's not enthused because he knows exactly what the draft strategy is going to be.
Yeah.
And I will spell it out right now. He's in the league next year for auction. I will nominate Calvin Johnson. I will rack that price up.
Yeah.
He nominates Stafford. I will rack that price up. He nominates Reggie Bush. I will rack that price up. Because you know what?
Congratulations,
Hey,
there will be no Lions on your team.
Yeah.
I know he will pay it, or he will have those 3 guys and fucking
Nobody.
garbage afterwards.
Yeah.
That's why the auction draft is so cool, and that's why that's going to be one of the things that we work into our dynamic.
Absolutely.
Is that with the auction draft, it doesn't just come down to where you got lucky in your draft spot. Because you want to know a fun fact? I keep facts on things that you don't think about the league. I'm the league manager, so it's my job to keep the league interesting, to keep the league fair. And in the last 3 seasons, I have been in the top 4 every single time. You know who else has been? Cameron. You know who hasn't been? Has been in the bottom 7 or 8 position all 3 seasons in a row? You.
Have I?
Yeah.
Well, you knocked me out. No, Mikey knocked me out.
Draft positions.
Oh, for draft positions. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
the first season, I was in the top 3.
No, yeah, you drafted number 4 or 5
But you weren't
overall.
there.
No, in the first season...
No, we're talking about
The
draft.
first season,
Oh,
you
draft,
did not attend the draft.
No, because I forgot about it.
Yeah, you did
Yeah.
not draft. You drafted
And you've
7th.
been trying to make
Yeah.
chicken salad out of chicken
Because
shit
your
for
first
3
round draft
years,
pick
man.
was Peyton Manning on his year off.
Yeah, but I still thought... Didn't I finish 3rd?
You did?
Yeah, you did well. But here's the thing: is that auction draft takes away that ranking system, and it
Yeah.
gives you a finite amount of money. Now you're the general manager of your team.
Yep.
Where do you want to spend your cash? Now,
Yeah.
now when you fuck up,
much
it's
more
not that
consistent.
I got a shitty draft position or I had a bad draft. It's I made the wrong choices.
Yeah.
Yep.
And, yeah, it's...
I mean, it's
I'm
going to
excited
escalate our shit talk to an Odyssean level.
Matt and I did an auction draft last year. We had an auction league. It was really fucked up, scoring 2 quarterbacks and the whole 9. But
Saw serviceable aspects.
But that auction draft was probably the most fun that we have had involved with fantasy football. We absolutely enjoyed doing the auction draft because it was just like, oh hey,
Didn't just enjoy it; it was a fucking blast.
Vikes AD over here is nominating fucking Navarro Bowman. He obviously wants him. Boom, boom,
Yep.
boom. And then I end up snagging the number 1 linebacker for $20 out of my 800 that I had to choose
Auction
from.
draft puts a whole new spin on the league that
Yeah.
it's already competitive.
You put a value to it.
Yeah, I mean, because if basically your best draft position is like if you're in like an 8 or a 10 team league, halfway between. If you're like in the 4 or 5 spot, you're in the best spot to be to pick all the guys you may or may not want. But if you pick 1, you're not picking for like 20 picks. So yeah, you might get the best guy in the world,
But then you're not paying for
that's
those
not
guys.
how that
No,
works.
when it comes to auction, like
No, I'm saying in auction it's much better because everybody
'cause
goes,
we've got
all right,
1,
I want to
2,
pay
3.
$100 for him. No, I want to pay $300. But in regular drafts, I'm number one. I get to pick the best guy.
I purchased the number one running back for $280, and everybody said I was crazy. Then I signed my number 2 running back, which I believe was Matt Forte, LaShawn McCoy, and
it wasn't Matt Forte because I traded for Forte and Jamal Charles midway through the season.
I had 6 very serviceable running backs, and the total that I paid for them was $400. So I got the number 1 guy, which statistically coming into that year was a very intelligent decision. But I also blocked him from being on another team.
Yep.
And in the other auctions that we had been playing in the mock auction drafts, he was going for around $300 to $400. So I actually got him on a deal. And I actually think I went to the playoffs on it. It was one of the 8 teams I didn't pay attention to.
I think the auction draft style rewards the more,
Adventurous.
no, not the
not
adventurous.
The more
studious.
involved. The more involved,
I think studious is a good word.
Studious works well, but the more involved, guys, because anybody could just say, oh yeah, I'm going to be in your league. Whoever I draft, and whoever I get, and I'll just kind of play, and then, I'll move my guys around. But when you're doing the auction, you actually have to say, I'm willing to pay X amount for this guy, and then I tap out. Or, I want this guy, and no amount of money is going to stop me from picking that guy.
I love it.
I'm going to call my shot right now. Navarro Bowman's expected out until week 6 or week 8 of next year. I'll pick him up for $5.
I'll take it for 1.
You know who I'm going?
Fucking ass.
I'm taking Ray Rice for $1.
Yeah, I mean,
He had 2 yards on the season when he carried his wife out of the elevator, and it was
Yes.
the longest carry he had all
And he'll have at least a 4-game suspension.
But I mean, like my Darryl Washington pick last year.
Yeah.
Sorry to go back to the draft, but my Darryl Washington pick fucked me up for 4 more picks.
Yep.
Because I forgot because his suspension had been given out in like March, and we drafted in August, and you hadn't heard anything about it. So I'm like, oh, Darryl Washington's sitting there, cool.
I should have had a defensive juggernaut, and then every single guy, including my backups, got injured on my defense.
Yep.
And I was easily the defensive juggernaut of the year when that draft came out, and then every single one of my
On
guys
paper, you had a repeat team.
So I don't want to go into those situations where you go into these seasons where you had this draft and all of a sudden the draft bucks you. I want you to be able to walk into the draft and say, I have a plan. I know what I want my team to look like. I know what my team is supposed to be. And I'm going to go out there and I'm really going to choose the guys I want to get. And you're going to have to make financial plays to run other guys' money out. You're going to have to try to make the guys reach on guys that they really want. You're going to have to play in there, and I think it puts a whole new aspect on the team.
You also have to sit there and worry about, guys that actually sit there and look and worry about guys that are going to be players down the line. Like last year, like Cameron with Keenan Allen. Nobody was even thinking about him. And then later on, boom, this guy's scoring like 1 or 2 touchdowns a game.
Yeah.
He's getting all these yards.
Oh,
and you knew about it ahead of time.
And I picked up Phillip Rivers off the waivers because Kaepernick fucking sucked.
Yeah, and I had him for like a week or 2, and then I dropped him because he was throwing all those passes to, what's his name? Eddie Royal.
Yeah, Eddie Royal.
And
you picked up Eddie Royal.
Yeah, I picked up both of them, and then they stopped producing as I dropped them, and then you picked them up. So, I mean, if you're paying attention to what's going on week to week, you'll be able to make those little minor moves that later on are going to benefit you in the end.
I hate Sevi Ajiratutu! He fucked me over!
Who's that?
He was like the 5th wide receiver for San Diego that year.
Yeah.
He caught 3 touchdown passes in that last game.
What about Marvin Jones, who I picked him up on a whim, scored those 4 touchdowns against the Jets, and did nothing the rest of the year.
I had AJ Green that day, man. Come on.
That probably screwed you.
It did. It incredibly screwed me. Because it got to the point where in the last 3 weeks, I was fighting. I had to win or go home.
I stopped giving a shit about.
I was trying just to not be last and beat you. That was my only goal, was just to try not be last. I think I wound up being last though, didn't I?
Yeah, because I
think that was the last week. Like you beat somebody and I beat somebody, but you beat them by enough that you finished 7th, I finished 8th.
No, I finished 5th. I won the consolation bracket.
Didn't I win last?
Well, yeah, if you won by that, but I'm saying by
I finished 5th, bitch. You suck my dick.
I go by regular season too. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean regular season.
I
You were
think
7th. I was 8th.
I think when it came all out with wins and losses, I
were
ended up
5th
like
and
6th. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
me and you ended up right there.
Yeah, we were 5th and 6th
Yeah.
after the consolation bracket. But going into the final week of non-playoffs, you were 7th and I was 8th. And it was only by like a fraction of points because you beat me that 1 week by like a Keenan Allen touchdown or something.
Well, one of the dominating storylines of the Combine, I don't mean to get back to that, is Michael Sam. All right, he's a defensive end from Missouri.
And he's gay.
Yes, he came out of the closet in an ESPN interview.
So what?
This has become a huge story, mostly because ESPN doesn't like talking about college basketball for 20 hours a day.
Yep.
Same way that Tebow was handled, and the same way Manziel is currently being
Same way
handled.
we don't even cover it.
So, Darren, what's your opinion on Michael Sam in the NFL?
Unless he's sitting in the locker room and ogling every guy, and they can tell that he's sitting there going, "Oh my God, you look awesome," it's not going to be a big deal. Maybe 10 or 15 years ago, it would have been a huge deal.
What position do you think he's going to play in the NFL?
Well, he's defense, so I mean, he's going to be the linebacker and defensive
Well,
end.
let me give you his measurables. He's 6'2", 261.
He's probably more suited for a linebacker, no?
3'4", 4'3".
It depends on what team he gets drafted by.
Okay. Matt, what about you?
Here's the thing. I respect the decision to come out and say I'm gay. I'm going to be the first openly gay NFL player. He was going to go in between the 3rd and the 6th rounds. The problem that I'm having is that you've instead of just coming out gay when you came out to your team, or just coming out and saying, "Hey, I'm gay," instead of doing like a press conference or whatever. And I think that the problem here is that a lot of teams are going to look at this guy and say, "We like the talent, we like the skill, but we don't want to deal with the media circus." And I don't think there's a lot of guys out there who are capable of dealing with that kind of bit like media circus. So I think that because he came out, he's going to get kind of punished. But I don't think that my opinion has changed on him because he's gay. My opinion on him has changed as a football player because of his interviews. And he comes off as not being he doesn't come off as being very well spoken. He stutters a lot like I do, and he just kind of seems like, for a guy who's a Mizzou graduate, I don't even know if he graduated.
Yeah, he graduated from Missouri. I think most of that is due to the fact that he wasn't controlling the narrative. He had a press conference today and stumbling over his words and sounding like a 3-year-old and all this other stuff. But it was because he wasn't controlling the narrative. See, when Michael Sam came out of the closet, he came out in basically a prepared statement to ESPN. He was on with one of the ESPN reporters, and he's just like, "Hey, yeah, I'm gay. I play football. I told my team last year." But now that he's getting these rapid-fire questions thrown at him, he's just a little bit kafukta. Is really the only word to describe it.
I think the perfect team for him to be drafted by is New England Patriots.
Yeah, I think Belichick's the only guy who can handle that.
I actually have a list of a couple of teams that he could be drafted by, and it'll be absolutely no problem. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers could draft him.
I can see that,
what you need is a team that has an established coach who has a lot of respect from his locker room. So a team like Seattle, a team like New England, a team like Pittsburgh, even a team like
There's
Tampa
a problem
Bay.
with Pittsburgh that you're not thinking of, is that the Rooneys are devout religious people, and they actually hold.
That is true.
They make their team hold religious mass before their practices and games and things like that. So I do not think that a guy like Michael Sam is going to end up in Pittsburgh.
No.
But, I mean, you can't take Michael Sam and throw him on the Cleveland Browns that have a first-time head coach with a locker room that's been torn apart by their head coach being fired after one season.
You should go to Miami. That'll be a strictly professional locker room.
Miami would be an incredible locker room. But
That'd be great for the tabloids.
it would be. And actually, I read...
It'll only be the most scrutinized locker room. It would be the safest place for him to go.
I've actually read on Pro Football Talk that the NFL is considering throwing personal foul 15-yard penalties for uttering racial or sexual slurs on the field.
Soccer does it.
Like, if you hear somebody throw out the F word in reference to a gay man, boom, personal foul, number 64, offense, 15-yard penalty, second down.
I can see how that's morally wrong, but in the span of the game, how does that affect the game? It doesn't.
Exactly. It's the NFL being politically correct.
Yeah,
pro
they're trying
bullying.
to.
They're going against the grain. I think that they have to do something like that. If you look at the other sports in the world, they're starting to lean against racism into the matches. German crowds can't scream Zeke Heil anymore. Guys can't shout the N-word at players anymore. There's penalties that come in with those actions. And I think that the NFL, if it's going toward these rules of being safer towards player safety and protecting the players and doing all these things, you also have to make the morally just decisions as well. And part of that is saying that if you go out there and you make a racial slur, or if you go out there and you make a homophobic slur, then you will be penalized, because this is the year 2014, and it's time that we get into it.
I don't think there's a lot of that going on, though.
Oh, no, it's much more prevalent than you think. I mean, like, we've all been guilty of throwing around the word faggot. We've all been guilty of it.
But we don't use it in the sexual connotation.
But we still throw it around. It's still a slur. It's like saying the N-word, or it's like, calling an Italian, a wop, or anything like that. That's the way that it gets portrayed, is that it's a slur no matter what you say. But Michael Sam was actually asked during his press conference at the NFL Combine, yeah, you came out to your team last year. Did any of them act differently? And he's like, no. And then they said to him, well, would you care to elaborate on that? And he said, they said the things that they were saying, but it's just because we're so accustomed to it as a society that it didn't bother me, because I knew that they weren't saying it to me. If player A is saying about player B, oh yeah, he's a faggot, or whatever, as long as they're not saying, hey, Michael Sam, you're a faggot.
Yeah.
I don't take any offense to that. And, it kind of diffused that situation of it potentially being a locker room distraction, or,
but it's
something
supposed
to come out
be
the way
a
like Jonathan
501(c) charity, and it's supposed to be a regulated industry. It's a company. Okay, no matter what team you play for, every player plays for the company of the NFL.
But the NFL is a parent company with 32 subsidiaries, and they can't control what the 32 subsidiaries do.
So, they can actually. I mean, they can go through there and they can put bans on them. They can do things to control them.
I mean, if
they can absolutely control those guys.
If the Kansas City Chiefs wanted to hang a man in effigy outside of their stadium, they
can most definitely penalize them. They can penalize their players for doing something off the field. They can penalize the organizations for detrimenting the image of the NFL. They can most definitely do something about that.
Like they did with Roethlisberger when he wasn't even convicted of anything.
It was alleged.
I know.
4-game suspension.
And they still gave him a 6th game, and they reduced it to 4.
Reduced it to 4.
But he never was convicted of anything.
Conduct detrimental to the league.
Yep.
Now, if a whole team did that, so that's why those things, those morally ethical things need to come out, where there needs to be penalties for racism, there needs to be penalties for that. Because if you're going to go so far as to protect a player's brain, you should also go so far as to protect a player's psychology by penalizing the negative attributes or the gains that you can get from getting into a player's head and basically ruining their mind by making those terrible comments.
So what do you think about Jonathan Martin and Richie Incognito?
I think Richie Incognito is going to be welcomed back into a locker room with open arms, and Jonathan Martin's going to have trouble about it.
Only because he was the one that said what was going on, and Incognito was just, hey, I was just part of the program.
Think about our text messages,
because Jonathan Martin lied.
Think about the text messages between each other. Think about if our company found out the things that we said to each other on a regular basis.
Me, you, him.
What Jonathan Martin did is expose the relationship he had with another guy, and it was you know what? If your friend is going beyond the line, if they're doing something that you don't like, you go up to your friend and say, "Hey, man, that really bothers me," and your friend will say, "Oh, I'm sorry, man, I didn't know."
Done that a time or two.
Yep.
Scottish with the Jew remarks. I mean, it's just like, hey, dude, stop that, otherwise I'm going to hit you.
Yeah.
And that's all it needs to be. And then you can forget about those things in the locker room, and it's not going to be an issue. But the real problem going on is that you just don't have the representation ethically as you have with the physiological aspects. And I think that if you're gonna make those moves forward and you're gonna get your first openly gay player, think about the time back in the day when like Jackie Robinson first came into baseball. How much different would the league have been if you weren't allowed to make racist comments?
That's it.
Well,
That's
they made
kinda
racist
different.
comments because that was the society. They all treated African Americans
It's
like
our
they were
society
secondary
now.
citizens.
Why don't we change it?
Yeah, but you can look at Jackie Robinson and know he's different. You
We're all
can't look at a
doing-
gay guy and know that he's different.
Well, we're all doing the best
But
we
you know
can.
he's
to-
gay.
You don't necessarily.
Yeah, but in the day of social media, in today's day, you look at a guy, you know he's gay. It's just as prevalent as being black.
Did you know that Michael Sam was gay until he said it?
No.
But you said it. And
What
now
is
it's
that?
out there. That's the whole controversy.
Yeah, but you can look at Jackie Robinson and knew he wasn't white. And that
But
was
that
the
doesn't
problem
make it
back
okay.
then. I know, but that was the problem back then, is that you could look at Jackie Robinson and say, he's not Branch Rickey.
Guess what?
He's
Now
not
you can
Duke
go
Snyder.
into the media today and say, I'm gay, and then it pushes forward. Now everyone knows about it because everybody's connected to the social media. It is the same thing.
I
And
don't
you
think
have
so.
you have to go out there and you have to say, we're not going to accept any kind of intolerance, and we're just going to move forward.
I mean, I can look at Darren, and Darren has some
Issues.
issues. I
Physical
don't-
difference than
Yes,
most normal people.
Yes, and I mean, if I look at him and I call him Joaquin Phoenix or something like that, he knows that I'm saying something detrimental to
Yeah,
him.
because Joaquin Phoenix has a deviated septum and he has a cleft palate, and so do I. And you can notice that by looking at the person. You can see the scar. You
Here's
can
a
see
different
whatever.
kind of world
But,
to
like,
live in.
if I just
you
throw-
go into this world and you say, okay, the physiological differences are the only thing that matter, right? If I walk up to you and I call you a faggot and I have no idea that you're gay, but you are,
Yeah.
you're going to think that I know and I'm doing something to you detrimentally.
You're assuming way too much in advance.
That's just it, is that those kind of intolerant slangs, those kind of intolerant behaviors cannot be acceptable.
They can't be acceptable, but you can't predict it. I can
That's
look
why
at,
they should all be disallowed.
but you can't. You can look at another person of a different color and know automatically that they are a different color. And if you say something referencing that different color, that's a problem. When you're looking at someone that might be gay, it doesn't matter what color they are. They could be black, white, Chinese, whatever. You don't know. You can't look at them and say, you look gay, unless you're physically dressing in a typical gay fashion.
Yeah, you don't know. So why, as a professional athlete, why as a professional inside of a company, should you be allowed to say that to anyone?
You probably shouldn't.
You can't. You shouldn't be allowed to at all. And that's my point.
But you can't predict it. You can predict someone being upset.
No, you can't predict it, but you can make it so that nobody is allowed to take that advantage.
But comparing it, sexual preference to potential whatever they are,
It is the
nationality
discrimination
or,
of this era. I absolutely believe that is the discrimination of this era. In 20 to 30 years from now, when we're looking back on our time, we're going to think we're barbarians. We're going to think we're archaic because it's already happened once.
Well, it's the same way that we thought about, somebody classifying an African American as being 3/5 of a person.
Yeah.
It is true. I mean, I don't want to say time heals all wounds, because that's not the case. But, yeah, our kids are going to look back at us and go, wow, I can't believe that you just called somebody a faggot.
Yeah.
Like, that's a terrible word. You can't say the F
And it's
word.
a matter of time, but it is a time that needs to come to the NFL. The NFL...
It's a
whether it be-
company.
whether it be the NFL or Major League Baseball, I know that the Brooklyn Nets are going to make a run and sign Jason Collins.
Yeah. And I hope they do.
The first openly gay player in professional sports. I mean, we can remember the MLS guy, Robbie, whatever, Robbie
Robbie
Keane.
Lawler.
Robbie, what?
Was it Lawler or Keane?
Robbie Lawler. Yeah, he
Keane
came
was
out of the
Lawler.
closet.
Yeah,
Major
that was
League
after the
Soccer
fact.
isn't really a major sport in the
But
NHL.
you can't look at him and say, he's definitively gay. Like,
No.
you could look at somebody and go, he's definitively Chinese. He's definitively black.
It would be different if homosexuals identified themselves like Philip Seymour Hoffman in the movie Flawless, where he was wearing women's clothes
Yeah.
and makeup and all. But that's not the case. I mean,
No, not all of them act that way.
I don't even
you
think
could
you
be
can say
gay
the word
and I wouldn't even
homosexual.
know it.
I could be.
I don't even
Yeah.
want
I
to hear
just
the
don't
word
know.
homosexual. I don't want to hear classifications on people. I don't want to hear classification on race. I think that we're all people and we need to start respecting each other in the type of roles. Guess what? You're from Denmark.
Yes.
You're a Dane. I'm a German. You're mixed heritage, Portuguese and
I'm not Portuguese. I'm Polish and Irish.
Okay.
Brazilian.
No.
You look kind of weird. You're the tannest Irish guy I've ever
That's
seen.
racist.
So exactly, but you shouldn't be able to. You can make stereotypes. You can make assessments. It could be a joke if you're with people that you trust. But when you're talking about a professional environment, in no way, shape, or form should I be able to walk up to you and say, because of your physical differences, I'm better than you. And when you throw out those slang words like the F word, the N word, you're throwing out these differences to try to differentiate us from each other. We're all people. Guess what? You have a mind. You have a thought train. You have feelings. Every person is a person at heart. And if you're going to talk about an industry where your job is to go out there, perform, and make money, there cannot be any kind of discrimination, because it is unfair for me to be able to go up to you and say that you are less than me in a game, because that can affect your physical performance.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be allowed anywhere, but that's the world we live in.
But you can't physically tell the difference between a gay person that may be black, white,
It's
Chinese,
not like
whatever.
they come out of the womb with a fucking rainbow tattooed on their forehead. You don't know.
That's why none of it should be allowed.
Yeah, well, and unfortunately, it's a cycle that we have to take time to break. It's not like I can quit smoking tomorrow and I will never want another cigarette in my life.
So instead of the future generations trying to break it, why don't we be the generation that stops it?
Yeah.
We can start the process.
We can do the whole thing if we just go out there and say, I'm not going to do these things anymore.
And you know what? I want a Super Bowl to be decided by a 15-yard penalty because somebody decided to call somebody a racial slur. It's just like when they changed the rules in overtime.
Yeah. In soccer, games have ended because of racism.
Yeah. I think it's about time that we stop it.
Let's join the rest of the world.
But you can't fault people if it slips, if it's a constant thing. Like if at the end of every play, I'm saying the F word to Darren, if after every play, whether he does anything or not, if I'm saying it to him, that's one thing. Like if I go,
you can't allow some of it and disallow other parts of it.
No.
You have to say none of it is okay, or you have to say all of it is okay.
But where does it stop? Like, hey, your wife is fat.
Get inventive. How many times, okay, instead of trying to wake you up with the Winnie the Jew song,
Winnie the Jew.
Okay, what if I wasn't allowed to do that, period? I would have to get more inventive in the way that I teased or insulted you, which is all that's going to happen. In the olden days, if you're a white person staring at a black person, the most offensive thing you could say is the thing you're going to say. But what if there's a world that exists where those people always respect those boundaries, and I have to be truly intelligent to come up and call you Sasquatch because you're covered in hair?
Uh-huh.
It's just going to get more inventive. I just don't think that if you're going to have that world where you're going to have openly gay athletes, you're going to have minority representations, you're going to go out there, that none of the detrimental speak that you can use in commonplace should be allowed.
Well, it shouldn't be commonplace.
It shouldn't be allowed, period.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll agree to whatever we just came to. I don't know if it was a disagreement, but it's getting kind of heated over here.
I think we're all arguing for the same thing, except
but we're just saying it all in different terms. I mean, you may be gay. I don't know it.
I kind of have proof that I'm not.
If I call you a faggot, I don't know if it hurts you or not. It's not like if you were black and I called you the N-word, or if you were Chinese and I called you, the C-word, or anything like that. But I think we were all fighting for the exact same thing. We were all just phrasing our comments differently.
I think we're all for equality.
Yeah, we are. I mean, I don't care if you're gay.
Yeah.
Trust me, if I'm in a bar and I'm dressed up nice and a gay man comes up and hits on me, bitch, that's a compliment. Because you know what? I'm doing something right. I must look good if another guy wants to, buy me a drink or anything like that.
I'll go back to Henry Rollins, and I've brought Matt to a couple of Henry Rollins. He does spoken word a lot.
It's actually pretty good.
And it's pretty cool because he talks about a lot of wide-ranging topics. And one of the things he brings up is that, heterosexual men and homosexual men should be on the same playing field because you're both looking for the same thing. You're looking for a warm place to park your penis and come like a god.
And if there's a gay guy there, he's not your competition. You should be high-fiving each other. You should be sitting there going, yes, this is awesome. We're both looking for the same thing. We're all in the same boat. We just want to be happy. Why the hell should I care?
We're all looking to drop our seed. That's really what it all comes down to on this planet. We're put on here for one reason. You know,
I'm looking for love.
Hey, you know what? I'm the most Ted Mosby out of anybody that we know. All right, going back to How I Met Your Mother from earlier, I am Ted Mosby. I'm a hopeless romantic. I want everybody to be happy. I want everybody to be in love. And yeah, no, I totally agree with that assessment.
Let's move on to the next topic. This sucks.
Hello. Yeah, we're sitting here talking about fiery personalities. Jim Harbaugh has been in the news again. Second appearance on this show since the offseason started.
There was no chance he was going to Cleveland.
I think it was going to happen.
Big chance.
There was a giant chance. It was all
come to find out.
Well, here's the thing. I know in trades it doesn't matter to the player, but does it matter to the coach?
It doesn't, but usually ownership will be like, "Hey, you want to move to Cleveland?"
So a coach has no say if they want to trade you.
No, if they want to trade the rights to the coach, ask John Gruden. John Gruden did not want to come to Tampa.
I didn't know that.
In 2001, when he was traded from Oakland,
he wanted to stay there.
He wanted to stay in Oakland.
Oh wow, I didn't know.
I mean, it's pretty much been put on the record.
Look at the team; it went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
he thought he had a shot.
Well, no, it went to the Super Bowl after he left.
Yeah, but it was off of the AFC Championship game. He was in the AFC Championship game with Oakland.
That's true, yeah.
There was no reason to get rid of him, and then he was just up and traded to the Tampa Bay Bucks.
That's why he's always said he would go back to Oakland.
But, you know, some reports have come out about this Jim Harbaugh to Cleveland situation from Tim Kawakami of the San Jose Morning News, that apparently it's very tense in that building when it comes to Jim Harbaugh.
Because Jim Harbaugh's a firecracker.
Well, why would San Francisco want to get rid of him?
Three straight NFC Championship games with him.
And if it wasn't for Kyle Williams, they would have beat the Giants.
Why did the Buccaneers fire a 10-6 coach?
No, they didn't. Oh, yeah, they did fire. Yeah, Tony Dungy. Four straight playoff exits in the first round. Okay. I agree with that.
Yeah,
here's the thing: is that teams will make a decision based on the benefit of their team, and if they don't feel the coaching staff is working out, instead of just losing that coach, why don't we trade him to another team and try to get some draft picks out of it?
Yeah, I mean Oakland did shit with the draft picks that we gave them, but you know they at least got something.
Look at the way the business works. If you go and hire a guy you don't necessarily like, but he's a good attribute, then just demote him and leave us pay the same. And hire somebody else.
Well, here's the thing.
Instead, you trade him.
I always thought, though, that coaches were part of the loop and they had to agree to the trade.
No, coaches do not have no trade clauses.
Oh, really?
But when it comes to a situation like Jim Harbaugh, he wants a contract extension. No matter what. No matter what you say. I mean, he was one of the highest paid coaches in the NFL when he was hired to get out of Stanford. But he's also one of the lowest paid guys in the NFL. He's been to 3 straight NFC championships. He deserves a bump for a reason. And I think that he should get it. And, last night a firestorm was started with Pro Football Talk and the NFL Network. Mike Florio from Pro Football Talk was basically saying, Harbaugh's about to be gone from San Francisco. And then one of the guys, I think it was Jeff Darlington or it was Ian Rappaport, was just like, no, I talked to a couple of high-ranking guys, and that's not true. And then Jed York jumped in, the owner of the San Francisco 49ers, and he said, oh, no, it's absolutely not true. But now there's more being put onto it, that it's a very tense situation, that Jim Harbaugh is just kind of a firecracker, and he just does whatever he wants. And no matter the situation, Harbaugh's not going to be happy. Texas made a run at him. He rebuffed them because they weren't offering enough money. I mean, there's only so many pleated khakis that he can buy on his salary.
Yeah, but he likes to shop at Walmart for one, so he can buy a lot of khakis at Walmart. But what would be the benefit for San Francisco? Who would take over if Harbaugh went to Cleveland?
The defensive line coach. I don't remember his name, but they would totally...
Fangio?
Yeah. Vic Fangio would be the head coach. They would bypass Greg Roman and make Vic Fangio the head coach.
And then get whatever draft picks they would get for him.
Yeah, whatever. And I estimate for a guy like Jim Harbaugh, it would have been the number 4 overall pick and maybe a couple of second-rounders.
Well, why would he want to go to Cleveland? I know you're saying that he has no choice in the matter, so he would just have to go. Because
they offered him the opportunity to turn it down because of the respect that they have for him.
Yeah.
They respect him enough to not send him to a shithole like Cleveland, Ohio. But they don't respect him enough to give him a contract extension, even though he only has 1 year left on his contract.
The gaping mess of shithole that is Cleveland, Ohio.
But why not?
Fucking crap.
He's made 3 consecutive NFC Championship games. And if it wasn't for Kyle Williams, he probably would have made it to the Super Bowl against the Patriots.
They want him to win a Super Bowl.
I know, but he might have had that opportunity if the Giants wouldn't have won that
Coulda, woulda,
game.
shoulda almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades.
I understand that.
See,
but
they're getting ready to enter contract talks with Colin Kaepernick. When Kaepernick signs an extension,
yeah.
there will be a similar extension given to Jim Harbaugh. Because Kaepernick and Harbaugh are tied at the hip.
Yeah.
If, and I say if, Kaepernick walks, Harbaugh's leaving.
But if you look at it, Kaepernick has been there for a couple of years, and you've had Harbaugh, who's been there for 3 years, and they've made 3 NFC Championship games and only 1 Super Bowl. But where were the 49ers for the previous 10 years? Up until 2002, when they lost to the Bucs, who eventually won the Super Bowl, they completely were dog shit. They were horrible. They were one of the worst teams in that division. And then they got Harbaugh, because Singletary sucked it fucking ass. Harbaugh came in with the same guys and went to the fucking NFC Championship.
Well, that entire division sucked ass until Harbaugh got in it.
I know.
7-9 won the division title.
But the point was, for about 8 years, the Niners were garbage.
Longer than that.
Well, no, because 0-2, they went to the NFC Championship game.
No, they made it to the NFC Divisional.
Yeah,
They got
against
beaten
the
by the
Bucs.
Bucs
Yeah.
here.
But still, they
weren't
were
relevant. They weren't relevant for 10 years.
Well, they won the Super Bowl in '95, and they were kind of like in between for those 7 years until 0-2. I don't think they really were any threat to anybody, but in 0-2 they were a pretty good team. And if the Giants didn't shit the bed, they probably wouldn't even have made it against the Bucs. But then, the Bucs beat them, and the Bucs went on to win the Super Bowl. And then from 0-2 up until Harbaugh took over, they were dog shit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you had a 7-9 Seattle Seahawks team win the division.
Desperate teams have done crazier things in the pursuit of a ring.
It was a combination of a coaching change and great drafting. Yeah. As much as Mike Singletary got his ass reamed for not performing on the field, Mike Singletary, he drafted very well.
Yeah. And if he would have had Kaepernick, he might have probably been able to be similar.
If there hadn't been a consistent, 6 offensive coordinators in 6 years in San Francisco, they would have been a playoff team way far before.
So, it's been a little while, and we're starting to get weary, and by weary, I mean drunk. And it's time for us to end the show, so we're going to do our parting beasts. Everybody has something that they want to talk about. Everybody has something on the bottom of their cuckolds to talk about. Cameron, what is your agenda?
Well, I would just like to bring up the fact of one of the namesakes of this show. One of the namesakes of this show has decided to call it quits. Derek Jeter is on his farewell tour. Yeah, Jeets is caused by him. I mean, he was one of the guys that, he was the guy who sat there pounding his chest while getting a blowjob, going, yeah, Jeets, yeah, Jeets. And
yeah, Jeets.
Yeah, Jeets. I think that he goes down as one of the greatest Yankees of all time. Better than Ruth, better than Gehrig, better than Yogi Berra.
Yeah, Jeets.
And I can't wait to be there on August 15th, my birthday, on a Friday night, 7 o'clock, when the Rays are hosting the Yankees, sitting there behind the Yankee bullpen, holding up a sign that goes 6 people deep. Yeah, Jeets. Just to let him know that we think about him. The captain, a salute to you. It's been a wonderful career. It's been a pleasure watching you play for 19 years. Now get the fuck out.
I can't say that I love to see you here, but I love to watch you leave. Go away, Derek Jeter. I fucking hate you. Darren. What is your agenda?
Well, we haven't talked a lot about it on our Cup of Cobb podcast here, but there's a lot of delicious beers that are available out there for the viewing public to have.
It's coming.
And it's coming.
It's coming.
Maybe in the next podcast or two.
It's in the next podcast.
I mean, you can have your IPAs, you can have your porters, your stouts, whatever your bag is.
You gotta say one thing. Babe! Beer! Mimi! Beer, babe! Thank you! And my agenda is that we've been going through this thing for a little while now. We've shared a couple minutes together, and if you have something that you want to see pop up on the show, go ahead and leave it in the comment section. We listen to everything you have to say. We accept constructive criticism. We want to hear what we're doing wrong. We want to know what we're doing right. We want to know what you think. And if you leave us some comments on the page, and just tell us what you want to see. Maybe there's something you really want us to talk about. If you mention it, I will look at it, and I will actually research that for you, and we'll all do it as a team, come into the show and talk about something you really want us to talk about. So if you got something that you want to talk about, tell us. Tell us in the comments. And if you aren't down with Media Rehab, we got 2 words for you. Suck it!
And remember, that is Media Rehab, MEDIAREHAB @gmail.com. Leave us your comments there if you want. Have a great night.
Hey guys, it's Matt from Media Rehab. I just want to let you know that we realize that you probably don't have 2 to 3 hours of your day to dedicate to listening to the show in full run. So I want to give you a little format and how you're supposed to listen to the show. We jump around a lot because we expect that you have a life and that you want to move on with it. So when you listen to the show, if you want to pause, just pay attention to your marker and get kind of close to where you were. Just join us back in the conversation, but try to listen to the whole show, because I think you're going to find a lot of things that you really like, and I think you're going to really be interested in what we have to say. So if you can only listen to 30 minutes a day, then listen to 30 minutes a day. We don't produce a lot of episodes, so you have a whole week to listen to what you want to listen to. And just remember, if you ain't down with Media Rehab, I got 2 words for you. Suck it.